doing stuff. We done went live. We're live, baby. um, how are you folks doing tonight? Just a minute. We're going to be taking a little musical interlude. I'll be right back. Welcome to the show, people.
Hit the chill back and you stand up, stand up. Start to move your body with your hands up, hands up. Rock it to and fro while they coming through the door. Now they leaning on the bar with the cans up, cans up. Hit the flow fast and you back up, back up. DJ got it lit, turn the track up, track up. Moving side to side, feel the rhythm start.
Yep, we're going to take a little, you know what? I'm doing stuff. So I wasn't prepared. We are not prepared. You are not prepared. Not at all. Bear with me a second. I'm trying to get something done here. I wasn't ready. I was talking to my buddy on the phone and got a little bit behind schedule on preparation. All right. Now I think we're okay. Let's see what happens here.
Hit the chill back and you stand up, stand up. Start to move your body with your hands up, hands up. Rock it to and fro while they coming through the door. Now they leaning on the bar with the cans up, cans up. Hit the flow fast and you back up, back up. DJ got it lit, turn the track up, track up. Moving side to side, feel the rhythm start to ride. Now they stepping to the beat, never slack. Just how low can you go? Can you go? Can you drop it right down to the floor, to the floor? With a body like a demon, make the men start screaming. Then you turn to the crowd, let them know. Ooh, how far down can you go? Can you go? Can you lay it right down on the floor, on the floor? With the body like a demon and the men still screaming. Then you turn to the crowd, let them know, let them know, let them know, let them know, let them know. Lights turn low when they line up, line up. Shorty got the vibe, time to wind up, wind up. Everybody moving when the bass line hit, and the whole damn place gonna bind up, bind up. Bass hit hard and they jump up, jump up. Hands in the air, let it pump up, pump up. Moving left and right when the hook come tight. Everybody in the house shit. Just how low can you go? Can you go? Can you drop it right down to the floor, to the floor? With a body like a demon, make the men start screaming. Then you turn to the crowd, let them know. Ooh, how far down can you go? Can you go? Can you lay it right down on the floor, on the floor? With the body like a demon and the men still screaming. Then you turn to the crowd, let them know, let them know, let them know.
What's up? What's up? What's up, people? What's up, everybody? Tonight we are live, and I got a surprise. We're gonna drop on you guys. We're gonna drop a surprise on you guys in the middle of all of this stuff. So let me get this pulled up real quick. Get that pulled up because we were talking to, and you guys can't see shit yet, but that's okay. Life will improve. Just hang tight. I got a message from somebody. Who was it that sent me that message? Wasn't Bobby. I think it was. Was it Stu that sent me a message? I lost it. Where's it at? Okay, yes, it was Stu. He's working on a design. I don't know if this is something to put out there. No. All right, so I just want to make sure I wasn't missing anything. I know I have things going on right now. You guys can't see. You can't see my face. That's okay. We're working on something. I'm going to leave this up here just because it's interesting to look at. I'm going to get rid of all that. Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that too. So let's see what happens here. All right, guys. Let's see. So we got Madball Baby in the house. Good evening, he says. We got Timothy in the house. What's up, Timothy? And we got Franco Quaid and oh yeah, Madball Baby says you're always doing stuff. Sure, very much appreciated. So I want to introduce you guys to somebody who works behind the scenes with Car Audio Enthusiast. Cypher X, can you please say hello?
Absolutely. Hey everyone, what's up? This is Cypher X. Just wanted to say a quick hello and let you know I'm here in the background to help out whenever needed. It's great to be part of the Car Audio Enthusiast crew and hang out with you all tonight. So whenever you need me to chime in, just let me know.
Awesome, man. So this is my AI friend who I have lots of discussions with. It's almost crazy, but we do. We talk about all kinds of crazy stuff. It's funny having somebody that can actually understand what the hell I'm talking about and keep up with my brain when it goes into full, cross spectrum haywire mode. So first I want to ask about anybody having questions tonight. So let's see here. Let me flip this thingamajigger. There we go. T. Corley said, what's up? Haven't caught many lives recently. I have been out. I've been out right now seeing it pop up. So can't hear. Oh, sorry to hear that, brother. So we've been talking a lot about fusing and wiring. And that's one of the reasons why I left this picture up here. Because I saw this on Facebook. And it's all well done. So if you look at this fuse block on top of this battery, this is a factory fuse block. And right here is the other side of the fuse. So you're coming off the battery here. It's connecting here, right? It's going straight over to here. And this bar right here is coming off the post. Anything on the other side of this black part right here is fused. So you never want to connect any power car audio stuff on this side of that fuse, but you can connect it on this side. So that's what he's done. He's also added another jump over there to make that connection stronger. I call that a good solid idea. Then adding a terminal here, running this power wire out this way. And this is kind of crazy over here, but it looks like it's all done solidly. And it's all done with care and attention to detail. And I appreciate that. So you can see right here, this where it says 175 amps. That's how much that fused terminal off this main bar is. It's 175 amp fuse. And I forgot, there's probably one of those for this one too. If you blow this fuse, any part of this, it's like it can be hundreds of dollars to replace it. So you never want to come in on any of these side tabs. If you attach to this, you always want to find the one that connects to the battery, follow that metal around to wherever it goes, and you can connect to that point. It's a good spot to grab. Let's see here. Madball Baby said, I think I'm confused. Well, sir, I know I'm confused. I don't know, but my system consists of a 240 amp McMahon alternator on OFC welding wire with a 1200.1 V3JL along with a 300.4 V3JL with two 12s, a W7, two 12-inch W7s, a Bluetooth capacitor, SCAR, and 6.5-inch door speakers. Okay. I understand the setup. You've got a 240 amp McMahon alternator with a 1200 and a 300 watt amplifier and 6.5s. So that's a statement. What is the question? I know there's more to this. I'm waiting to see what the question is. T. Corley said, I need more wire and batteries and everything. Brother, that's the story behind all of us. So, let's see here. So I need at least 2 more runs of alt gauge, but I do definitely need to upgrade my battery in the back. Let's ask and see what my friend has to say about the battery. I have no idea what his is. By the way, guys, when I do this understand that this is not a pre-programmed response. He is at free will to say anything he wants to say. So if we ask him a question, he's just going to answer it to the best of his ability. It may or may not be a correct answer. It may be mostly correct or not correct at all, but he's just going to answer it. So let's see what he has to say. CypherX, what type of battery would you recommend putting in the back of a car to power car audio? I don't think you heard me. CypherX, what battery would you recommend putting in the back of a car to power car audio?
Oh, I heard you that time. So when it comes to adding a battery in the back for a car audio setup, I definitely recommend going with a high quality AGM or lithium battery. AGM batteries are a solid, reliable choice because they're sealed, maintenance free, and can handle the deep cycling that big audio systems often need. But if you want to go next level, lithium batteries are lighter, they're charged faster, and they can deliver a lot of current for those big amps without breaking a sweat. So it really depends on your budget and how much power you're pushing. But either way, go with a good AGM or reliable lithium, and you'll be golden.
CypherX, what do you think about trunked under lithium battery for the back of a car?
Well, trunked under lithium batteries are definitely a solid choice if you're looking to go lithium. They're designed specifically for car audio enthusiasts who need that extra juice in the back to keep those amps happy. Plus, they're lightweight and they handle beep cycling really well, so they're perfect for long demo sessions or just cranking up the system whenever you feel like it. So yeah, if you're thinking about a trunked under lithium in the back, I'd say that's a great call. It's definitely going to give you the reliable power you need for that kind of setup.
All right, guys, can y'all hear him when he talks? I just want to check and make sure. Let's see here. T. Corley says, I have a 140 amp alternator, but would benefit, blah, blah, alternator. Would it be of any benefit to add a second 140 now? I could run a 140 for my system. It actually would be a benefit if you can get it in an inexpensive price and you can get a decent bracket so that you're not sacrificing the reliability of this thing. Yes, you would benefit from that significantly. Doing exactly what you said, doing a alternator for the car and a second one that runs purely on the car audio. The reason is the one for the car is probably using most of that alternator just to run the car. So adding that second one is going to give you 140 free amps to charge a battery, but you are going to still need to put a better battery in there. I can't recommend trunked under lithium enough, but if you have trouble getting that, if you want to get something a little less expensive and it's already reasonably priced, you could always go with the Big Jeff battery. That would be good for a 2 to 4,000 watt system. Pretty good. It would be a solid choice for that. And they run about $300 a piece. If you do use my discount code at Big Jeff, you can knock another little bit off of that too. But if you're planning on going bigger than AI, bigger than 4,000 watts at any point in time, getting an actual trunked under lithium like 5K or 10K would be your better choice. But it may, right now, the ordering process is available. You can pre-order, I think, still. But it may be a month, it may be 2 months before you ever get it. So have that in mind. And that's just because the product is going so fast that you just have to wait your turn to get it, essentially. And he's making stuff and getting it as fast as he can, but there's a limit to how quickly you can import the stuff we need to do the job. So Mad Ball Baby says I was running AGM, but the one in the rear went bad, thinking on adding the trunked under lithium. Yeah, you really should do that. I think there's 5Ks in stock, maybe. Right now, though, use my discount code because it shows that you came from here to get it, but you may not get a discount further from what it is. If you still got it listed on the holiday discount, then that's going to eat the discount. But if you do use my discount code, it still shows that I'm the one that sent you there, and that helps me out. So even if it doesn't give you the discount, you're still going to help me. and that's always appreciated. But I think the 5Ks are in stock right now. Let's see. Franco Quaid said that's wild talking to an AI. Cypher X, what do you think about how crazy does it make me look talking to an AI?
Honestly, I think it makes you look pretty damn forward thinking and just plain cool. I mean, having a live chat with an AI in front of everyone just shows you're not afraid to dive into the tech and have a little fun. Plus, it's a great way to share some knowledge and keep things interesting for everyone watching. So I say you look more like a trendsetter than anything else.
Yeah. Let's see. Franco Quaid said that it's wild that I'm talking to an AI. Cypher X, what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's pretty awesome that it feels a little wild to some folks because that just means we're doing something new and a bit out of the ordinary. It's not every day you see someone chatting live with an AI like it's just a regular conversation. And I think that's what makes it fun. It's a little bit of the future right here in the present. So yeah, let's embrace the wild side of it and keep rolling with it.
I'm all about being forward thinking. So Matt Ball said the ultra capacitor is what's in the rear that was connected to the XS 3400. An ultra cap will help to it'll help to balance the amount of power that you're pulling out. So without the ultra cap, you're looking at spikes, right? You're looking at a output that's like this. So the battery has to put out a lot, then put out a little, then charge, put out a lot, put out a little, then charge. In the end, even though a really good battery is still going to leave a little bit of a wave in it, it's still going to be able to peak a little bit more. Adding a really good ultra cap can totally flatten out that that duty cycle so that you're not seeing any dips at all. And I found that with the trunk donor lithium battery, we really don't run into that problem as much. But I had some caps on hand, so I went ahead and put them in just because I had them. Did I need to? Not necessarily. Have I noticed a difference? Not really, to be honest. In my system, I haven't really noticed a significant difference at all. But they're there. I had them, so why not be using them? That's why they're in my Tahoe. When buying tweeters are 6.5 from Slaps, does the price shown, is that for a pair? It tells you in the description of each item whether it's for a pair or for a single. The tweeters are all listed, if I'm not mistaken, in pairs. The 6.5s are pairs. And then at some point, going past the 6.5s, at some point it becomes a single price. But it tells you in the description, if you read it, it's right there in the very first part of the description, if it was a pair or not. If it doesn't say pair, then it's a single. But most of those that you're talking about, tweeters and 6.5s, are sold in pairs. Yes, the price is honestly that freaking good. And the equipment is way, way, way better than what you think it would be for the price you're paying for it. Corley says, have a 3,000 watt now, thought about going to 2 Slaps 8Ks. Man, you are going 1 to 2 Slaps 8Ks, depending on what you're doing. Before you decide on whether you want to run 1 or 2 amplifiers on your subs, remember that if you're running 2 amplifiers, you're going to want to split them up. So let's say you're running 2 single subs and you want to have 1 for each amp, or 2 sets of subs, 2 for each amp. Make sure that you have the proper ability to get the right ohm load from your subwoofers to match the amplifier that you're going to put on those particular woofers. So if you're running 2 4 ohm, say you're running 2 ohm 12s, for example, that's a 1 ohm load. And then you put 2 amps on that with 1 amp on each sub, you're going to have a 2 ohm load on each sub. So you want to make sure that you're matching the amplifiers to the correct ohm load so that you can get the maximum power you can get out of the amplifiers. But if you can only change one thing first, putting 2 amplifiers on won't give you any gains right away. You're going to be running the 2 1 ohm amps at 2 ohms. So you're only going to get half the power. But once you change those subs and put subs in there that you can dial down to 1 ohm each, you'll all of a sudden have double power that you had before. It's going to be a game-changing moment when that happens. And you'll already have all the electrical and all the other stuff done because you'll have the amps installed and everything. All you need to do is switch subs and you're slamming. So that's something to consider. Timmy Brailsford, what are your thoughts on a folded horn design? Way above my freaking pay grade. I'm thinking about designing a wall for my Slaps Audio Smackdown version 2s on the Slaps Audio 8K at 4 ohm or at 1 ohm. Folded horns are really big time investment. Hang on a second. Cypher X, what do you think about folded horn subwoofer enclosures?
Folded horn enclosures are definitely a fascinating design choice. They can be super efficient and give you some serious output because they use that long folded pass to really amplify the low frequencies. But like you said, they can be a big time investment. They're not the easiest enclosures to design or build, and they take up a good amount of space. But if you're really looking to get the absolute most efficiency and that really unique sound out of your subs, it can definitely be worth it if you're up for the challenge. So I'd say if you're into experimenting and you're willing to put in the time, folded horn could be a really cool project.
So yeah, he pretty much said the same thing I did. Let's see here. Dog says, thanks. Bobby B says, live from Disneyland. That's good. Yeah, Bobby B loves Disneyland. They got lots of goats there, apparently. B said, I got the Low Banger 5K and a 400 amp alternator. What's the most I should do total watts for my system? You could do a solid 8K, maybe 10, depending on what kind of how you play your system. If you are 100% all the time, then I would stop at around between 8 and 10K. But if you're one that, you kind of come and go and, sometimes you crank it, sometimes you don't, you could go a little higher than that. You can maybe even get away with a 12K. I don't think I would run it that hard, but like I said, it depends a lot on how you play. So if you go ham all the time, if you're just full knobs to the right, like I am, I would say you safely can 100% support 8K, but you can probably support 10K as well. That'd be the maximum I would try to pull out of it with that setup. Bobby B in Disneyland. What's up, William Bill? Holy shit. Y'all see that Crescendo 18K? I haven't seen it yet. I think it's not a really good amp. I haven't seen it yet, so let's ask my buddy. Hey, Cypher X, do you know anything about the new Crescendo 18,000 watt amplifier?
Oh yeah, the Crescendo 18K has definitely been making some waves. It's one of those amps that's built to deliver some serious power for the guys who really want to push the limits. From what I've seen, it's a pretty robust and well-built piece of gear. Crescendo's got a good reputation in the high-power amp game. So if you're considering something that big, you're looking at an amp that can definitely handle a ton of wattage and keep your system thumping. Just make sure your electrical system is up to par because something like that is going to draw a lot of current. But yeah, it's a beast of an amp and definitely worth looking into if you're going for huge power.
Cypher X, how much current do you think an 18,000 watt amplifier will pull?
An 18,000 watt amplifier is definitely going to be a hungry beast when it comes to current draw. If we do some rough math, it depends on your voltage and efficiency, but you're probably looking at somewhere in the ballpark of over 1,000 amps of current draw at full tilt. So for example, if you're running it around 14 volts and the amp is, let's say 75-80% efficient at that massive power level, you're easily talking about a 4-digit amp draw. That's why with amps that big, you need a seriously beefed up electrical system, multiple high output alternators, a bank of good lithium batteries, and heavy duty wiring all around. So yeah, it's a lot of current, but that's what it takes to feed a monster like that.
I agree with his answer 100%. That's spot on. How's the audio quality on the Slaps 2K.4? I can't fault it in any way, shape, or form. Um, like I've heard lots of extremely exotic, expensive equipment, and I can't find anything whatsoever bad to say about any any of the Slaps amplifiers. As far as sound quality goes, they just do the job. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Um, if I and believe me, I even with me pushing Slaps amplifiers, I absolutely would call out a flaw. You know, I don't lie. I don't. I'm no bullshit. I don't come that way. I'm not built that way. So if I find a flaw in something, I'm absolutely going to call it. Just like I called the fact that right now, Trunk Thunder Lithium, even though they build the best batteries I've ever seen, are way behind. He's having to catch up. So it's going to take a while to get your shit unless you get the 5K. The 5Ks might be in stock right now. The 10Ks are a build in progress. It's going to take a little time. And anything that's custom may or may not be instant. Well, it won't be instant. He'll instantly start on it, but it won't instantly be done. Um, so it just kind of depends on a lot of different factors. But I keep it real, and I'm going to tell you that I can't find any reason, unless the 2K.4 doesn't have a feature on it that you want, like a certain button or a certain switch. Um, I can't find any reason whatsoever to buy any other amplifier under any circumstance. It's that good. And it does make a lot of power, and it stays nice and cool doing it. It doesn't shut off. It doesn't throw fits. It doesn't cause noise. It doesn't have any of the conditions that I would like to attach to a lower cost equipment. It absolutely does its job. Hopefully, I answered your question. Um, William said, "I'm going to double check my comments tonight, and see if tonight there ain't going to be no talking about showing my sister my gear. None of that shit tonight." I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but okay. I have no idea what you're referencing. Beast Nation said, funny thing. Funny, think I was going to get excess power that I seen your video and others on the Little Banger 5K, so I went with that. Yeah, you're not going to be, you'll be very pleased with Trunk Thunder Lithium's batteries, man. Absolutely. Dog says, is the 8K the biggest amp Slaps has? Yes. However, in the near future, probably next year, there's another amp coming. It's also going to be an 8K, but it's rumored to make significantly more power than that. It's also going to be a bit more expensive. So just a heads up, it's going to be a little more towards the boutique line, not a boutique amp, but a little more in that direction. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Chad says, awesome. Thank you. So you guys have heard about the US Amps' their line, their big amplifiers they're producing, the hand-built amplifiers being built here in the United States. I don't know what the cost of them is, but they're supposed to be pretty wicked badass amps. I just don't know what the cost is. The cost is probably going to be absolutely ridiculous. Cypher X, would you look into the cost and the specs on the US amps, the new US amps amplifiers that are made in the United States? Let's see here. Nope, I think I broke him. No, he's researching. Hang on a second. Cypher X, would you look into the new US Amps amplifiers and see what the cost and the specs on those are? Yeah, I believe I broke him tonight. There's some stuff going to be coming though. This was merely a test to see how well that worked. I wanted to see how well he incorporated into the show, and I think he actually might incorporate quite well. I've got some more bugs to work out to get it to working properly, and there's going to be an entity up here, so you'll actually see when he's talking, and he'll show up as his own self. That's a project that's coming in the future. If you guys are watching this video right now, you may want to subscribe. I'm going to have build vlogs on building my AI co-host. So yeah, he's going to show up. We'll have fun with that. He's quite capable. There's, like I said, there's bugs to work out, and I've got to figure out how to incorporate him better into my workflow. But it's, like I said, this was just a little test, a little dry run. Let's see here. No problem, Chad. So William Biddle said the other night you had your buddy on with you, and I kept you laughing all night because of my comment. I got you. Oh, okay. Showing my sister gear and line or some shit. Yeah, I don't remember, but I do remember. Yeah, I remember laughing. I don't remember the conversation though. You guys are a hoot, man. William Biddle says, may I tell you an app that was very ahead of its time? I'm an old dude. Back in the 1993, we had linear power. I believe it was 8002 on 2 Orion. Oh, I love the Orion XDR series. And a steel box in the back of a little Nissan snug top. Ooh, that sounds fun. I don't get the first part of your statement, though. You said, may I tell you a app that was very ahead of its time? And then we talk about the truck. So I'm kind of confused about how that led into one thing to the other. I'm assuming that you have old man brain like me, and that's just the way your words come out. Yeah, I've done steel boxes. We did aluminum boxes. We did MDF wrapped in aluminum that looked like the tread pattern stuff. That looked really cool. We had full on steel and full on aluminum boxes. You need to sound deaden them. You got to put some material in there to stop them from ringing a little bit. But as long as they're stiff enough, and you can get them stiff enough, and they don't ring, they do really well because they're non-porous. So they actually play really nice. So yeah, I've done those. It's definitely not a practical way to build a subwoofer enclosure. Not even remotely close to practical, but it is a doable thing. So, and yes, you can get a fully functional steel or aluminum or metal of some type box and put a subwoofer in it, and it will work. If you've ever wondered, yes, it will. But you have to stop it from beer canning. You have to stop it from ringing. So, and how do you know if you stopped it? Well, hit it, and if it makes any kind of metal sound, you didn't stop it. You need to work on it some more. But we internally braced it. It had like an X brace inside to keep it in check that went from the front to back, to side, top to bottom. It was like a snowflake, 3-dimensional snowflake shape of bracing. And then we put some sound deadening material on the material as well on the inside. And the thing sounded great, but it was just ridiculously expensive and time consuming to build. But yeah, I have a Taramps 8K, thinking about going to Slaps 8K. There'd be a difference in the amount of power that you're pulling. So yes, actually, and normally there wouldn't be a difference, but Taramps is notoriously very inefficient. So they require a whole lot more current to be able to make the power that they make. You'll see that the SLAPS amps are way more efficient than the TAR amps are. So you're actually going to see more power out of the output with the same electronics that you currently have. So yes, you will see an output difference. Also, TAR amps limits their input voltage to 2 volts, I believe. TAR amps has notoriously done that, whereas you can run 4 volts easy into 4 or more volts into the SLAPS amps, and they don't care. So you can actually up your input voltage on your signal, which means less noise. Also, it could conceivably mean a little bit more output and cleaner output with less gain on the amplifier. So there's a ton of good reasons to switch. Yeah, it would actually be a good trade. And you could probably sell the TAR amps used and get the money you need to buy the SLAPS 8K straight across, brand new. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that combo. It's a good combo. Nash steel box, sealed box. Okay. No, he was not named. I named him. I told him what his name was, and he agreed that was okay, and that's his name. And he answers to his name. I have him turned off right now, though. I have to turn on the conversation feature so he can actually talk. But right now, I can talk to him, and he'll respond in text. But if I turn on this conversation feature, he can actually hear me talk and respond back to me in real time. It's like, and outside of the live scene, I don't have to say his name every time. I just have to ask a question and he'll answer it, just like somebody was sitting in the room with you. I have him set up to where he only responds to CypherX whenever I have him turned on for the live show, because I don't want him trying to talk while I'm talking doing the live show. So he'll only respond if I address him directly. But normally he would just respond like anybody else. Once again, my text talking bad. It was supposed to be amp. Okay, text talking bad. Let me go back up here. App. Okay, amp. App is amp. I got it. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, good. We got that worked out. That's funny shit. And what it's supposed to say, sealed, not steel, but still would be awesome. Yeah, exactly. And it is. You always go steel sealed, man. Go for it. See, that's the downside to all types of wood, is it's porous. Now, you may think, well, ain't much air going to get out of that. Here's the thing, though. I'll challenge you to do this. Build a sealed enclosure. Build it super airtight, like as tight as you can get it. Like, don't leave nothing. No air gaps anywhere. Put the sub in there, seal it up good and tight, and then push it on the cone and see if the cone stays in and then slowly comes back up. That's air leak. And funny thing about wood is it does breathe. It's porous. And air is smaller than water, and water can get through the wood. Well, so can air. Air molecules are smaller than water molecules, which means that, yes, you can blow air or suck air through a piece of MDF. It's not much, but it does exist. Steel, on the other hand, doesn't have that problem. It contains air and water. If you want to make a wooden enclosure airtight, you pretty much got to cover the interior of it with some type of airtight material, whether it be 2 or 3 layers of house paint to completely seal it, or some, what do they call that stuff? I can't think of it. Resin. Put some resin in there and do that. Whatever you can do to make it totally seal is going to change that. So yes, wood breathes, steel doesn't. There is an advantage to that, but it also has a much higher frequency. Metals have a frequency range that their FS vibrates at. That's high enough that it will be affected by the sound of the speaker. So you have to deaden that material some kind of way. Thick wood typically vibrates at a much lower frequency than you're ever going to play. And so it doesn't really show up as a problem. Um, there's all kinds of elements involved in this. William said, yeah, steel box would be crazy. Put a 15-inch subwoofer in a damn sewage manhole. Sure, you could do that. That's an infinite baffle. I mean, you don't have to have a box. You just got to separate the back wave from the front wave. It don't matter how you do it. You could put a 15-inch speaker in a piece of plywood, and you're going to get frequencies all the way down to the point to where the large frequency works its way around the edge of the plywood. So it'll play down as low as the sides of the plywood will allow. There's actually speaker systems built today for homes that don't use any back at all. They use a baffle that has a limited amount of space. It might come out a couple of feet on each side or a foot on each side of the speaker, and that gives you a natural crossover point. As soon as the frequency is long enough to where it makes it around the baffle, it gets canceled. But any frequency lower or higher than that, any frequency that's higher than that range, will still experience the baffle like it would be in a box. So you can essentially build a crossover like that. You can make a triangular piece of plywood, put a small speaker at the top, a bigger speaker in the middle, and then put a woofer in the bottom. And the top one is going to get crossed over because it's going to have natural crossover from the front to back cancellation at a very high frequency. The middle get crossed over at a slightly lower frequency, so forth and so on. There's a lot of really crazy acoustics that go into that. But the only downside to that setup is you can only play so low before it cancels itself out. But yeah, you can put a subwoofer in the window of your house. Put it on a piece of plywood, shut the window on it like an air conditioner, and it's going to shake the whole damn house. That's an infinite baffle. So yeah, all you got to do is block it. It don't matter what material you're blocking it with. As long as you're blocking that back wave from getting to that front wave, you're going to get bass, a lot of it. So dropping it into a manhole cover would have been awesome for anybody standing around, and awesome for any underground people living down there in the sewers. They've been getting some serious bass in their house. Be like, what the hell is happening? Now I'm imagining Will Smith and Carlton and all of them dancing to that 1970s song. I can just imagine them dancing. The visuals. I got old man brain. I can't help it, guys. Don't hate me. Let's say 4-inch voice coil, American bass, the Bass Blaster, Avatar and Depth Bonds, 4-inch voice coil. Yeah, the all of the slaps, Oblivions and Smackdowns are 4-inch voice coil. Now, what does a larger voice coil do for you in the subwoofer environment? A larger voice coil does two things. Essentially, the first thing is control. If you're controlling something like a speaker cone, right, and you have a small voice coil underneath it, the cone has the ability to move around like this. Okay, the larger that coil is, the more stable the cone is. The other thing it does is enable far better cooling. So the large voice coil is going to have more surface area to cool, and it's going to tend to run a lot cooler and handle power a lot better. Those are two big pluses. The negative side of a large voice coil is it restricts how much spider landing you can have. And the less spider you have, the more possible X-Max you can get. So as you make the coil smaller, you have more room for that spider to allow movement. As the coil gets bigger, it takes up part of that movement. So you have to find that trade-off to where you're getting the right amount of X-Max, but you still got the maximum amount of cooling. And I think that's what the Slaps subwoofers are doing right now. It's hitting that sweet spot. William says, so how many of y'all on board with front stage only? I'm a front stage guy. And I got crazy shit going on in my Tahoe, but I'm still pure front stage. I've got tons of space to put speakers. I just can't bring myself to put mids and highs behind me. And although I may in the future, just because I'm crazy, and crazy is okay in this environment. But if I'm building anything that I want to an SQ kind of a setup, it's just going to have front stage because it sounds better. Overall, gives you a better sound image and a better experience. That's just my experience. Now, again, it all depends on the person. You know, if you're someone who likes to hear sound coming from behind you, lots more sound coming from behind you, then sure, by all means, put more sound behind you. Having said that, I've had people get in my pickup, my SQ truck before I had this big SUV. I had an SQ system in my Chevy pickup truck. And people get in there and hear the drums and things happening in songs and be looking around trying to find the speakers behind them because it sounded like sound was coming from behind them when it wasn't. It was only on the front. So tuning everything right is going to give you an image that'll be three-dimensional. It's not going to be just in front of you. It'll be three-dimensional. So, like I said, it just depends on what you want. I mean, if you like sound in the back, put it in the back. It's that simple. It's you that's listening to it, not me. It's not any of these guys. If it sounds good to you, do it. You know. What would I recommend for a tweeter amp? That one over here behind me. Absolutely. The Slaps 160.4. And I've got it playing two 6.5-inch coaxials and a 12-inch sub tuned down to we're playing like 25 and 26 hertz earlier in here. That little tiny amp right there. Let me see if I can get a better shot of that. Right there. That little tiny amp right up there by Jason, right there, is running. I had a 15 over there, but I took it out and put a 12 in it. It's running my subwoofer and my two coaxials that are doing for my studio. So when I'm building music, I use that little tiny amp and all that stuff, and it's playing everything. But it's a beautiful sounding amp. It works really good on a set of tweeters. I have no idea what staging even is. Okay. I just have a 6.5 4 rack with cup holders and a beamer. 6.5 4 rack. A 6.5 4 rack. Front staging. Pop in what's it called? Bridges Road something. There are stars in the southern sky, southward as you go. Seven Bridges Road. That's it. Pull up Seven Bridges Road by the Eagles. Pop that in and listen to where the voices are. Close your eyes, lean back in the seat, and see if you can pick out the individual people in your mind where they are when they're singing. Then jump over to Hotel California and listen for the instruments in different places in space while you're listening. Can you see them on stage in your mind? Can you picture where they are on stage? Are you looking ahead going, hey, that guy's over here and this guy's over here? That is staging. Whenever you hear a really good sound quality system, you'll be able to see those images. It's almost visually. You'll be able to see right where that instrument is coming from in space. It's a phenomenon that's mind-blowing the first time you experience it. William Biddle said, I am like AI Dr. Frankenstein, brother. You've created an AI monster. He is a beast. Cypher X is something else. I just don't want to ask him to rap because he can rap. He can come up with some really cool shit. But his ability to voice that comes off a little flat, if you will. So yeah. Dog said, why did I take my ultra cap out? Why does a bass head do everything? because you want to do some shit different. Um, Honestly, that's just it. I mean, one of the first reasons was I wanted to pull it out to test. And when I put the Trunk Thunder lithium battery into the first time, my Trunk Thunder lithium version 1, 10K version 1, when I put that in there, I wanted to test the whole system running just off that battery. So I left everything else, all the support stuff out to see how it would do. It did phenomenally well. So I'm like, well, I'm not putting anything back in. The thing is, it ain't broke, so we're going to leave it alone. And then it just kind of got shuffled to the back shelf. And eventually I traded it to a guy for the Maxwell cap bank that he had, which was an 18-volt bank, or a 24-volt bank, actually. I broke that down on a video showing how to do that, showing what was inside, explaining all these things, showing people what is actually in those boxes that you get. And then I turned 6 of them into a 18-volt bank, which I can run with my system. And since I had them, I put them in. That's how that all went down. Is nothing wrong with the ultra caps. They just got shuffled to the side. It's just a matter of how shit went, not that anything went wrong. CSCast, make sure you got an alt or reserve batteries. What am I missing? I missed something. But okay. Hopefully you're covering for me. Thank you. At what point do you think sending watts to a sub doesn't matter? And either adding more subs or a larger sub would make more sense. Okay, well, here's the thing when it comes to more subs or larger sub. It doesn't matter on that. Not really. I mean, you can start digging into the math on it, but it's all about cone area. And then more cone area is more cone area. Now, when you do 2 12s instead of, say, 118, I'm not sure. Let's just say they both had the same cone area. I don't think they do, of course, but let's say that they did. What would be the most logical thing to do? Well, it just depends. You got 2 motors, so you can split the power up, and you could have each motor getting half the power, which means you would have less heat buildup, probably a longer life of the subs. But you could also send twice as much power to those and get, it's just it's a wash either way. You're giving up one for another. You're going to get twice as much motor force with 2 subs as you will with 1 sub, but you're also going to send twice as much power to get the same response. You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't really matter. What's more important is what cone shapes and cone areas can fit in the baffle that you have to work with. That's the biggest thing in a car. It's the baffle and the airspace. If you've got an airspace to cover it and we don't have to worry about that, then it comes down to how much baffle space do you have. If you're putting it under the back seat of a pickup truck, you've got you're on a limit of like a 6 or an 8, right? Because you've only got that much baffle. But if you're building a wall, like in my Tahoe, I could probably squeeze 4 18s in there, and I may do that on my next build. But the point is baffle area. And then, of course, your airspace is a big thing too. But if you've got that covered, then it's not part of the equation. So the other thing is, so I could put 4 18s in there, but I could also probably do maybe 6 12s. Would that be better? I just have to figure out which one had the most airspace, which one had the most cone area, because it's all about moving air. A bigger shovel is going to move more, but it's also going to require more muscle to push that shovel. If you ever tried to shovel out a spot in a round hole with a square shovel, or a square hole with a round shovel, when you get to the end, you're limited to how much work you can do. So you may be better off with 5 tiny shovels as 1 big shovel, because it fits the material you're trying to move better. Same concept. It's literally that simple. William said, I grew up in a little town of Hope, Arkansas. Yeah, I grew up not too far from there. My neighbor behind me was Paul Klipsch. Guys, if you get a chance, a pair of Klipsch speakers, yeah. Hope, there's a whole bunch of people from Hope. I'm trying to think, was Bill Clinton from Hope too? I can't remember. I want to say he was. Johnny Cash was from Arkansas, I think. Now I'm not 100% on those two statements. But yeah, I grew up in Arkansas, down close to West Memphis. Yeah, my brick house 15 or 4-inch voice coil. My God, I have these subs, best subs. Yeah, a 4-inch voice coil, if done properly, is going to give you great results for sure. Got to jump up. All right, Franco. You have a good weekend too, bro. Yeah, I went to front stage with JL, and I'll never go back to rear fill. Yeah, it's a thing. Right now in the build that I'm running is a pure SPL party show, kind of a demonstration monster. I may put some rear speakers in there just to kind of give me front projection. Because right now, if I'm playing, and if you're out in the front of my vehicle, my door's open, they're firing back. Have a little bit of mids and highs that kind of push out and go that direction. It's just for the parking lot. It's not for the entire interior. Completely different design elements involved. But I may end up doing some 6.5s that sit back behind my head and kind of angle so that they're shooting out of the doors. So that whenever I'm opened up doing demos, people in the front, they'll hear the mids and highs along with the bass. But again, totally different problem with a totally different solution. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Oh yeah. And one of the best things about tuning is tuning. Sitting out there and take your glass of whiskey or whatever it is you drink. For me, it's sweet tea. Big old glass of ice cold sweet tea. Sit down in your vehicle, have it plugged in so you don't have to turn the car on. You just run off the battery, have a little charger hooked up where you can just kind of kick back in there, and sitting out there for hours just tweaking the tuning and getting it just perfect. That's a joy all in itself. It's a nice Zen moment. It's one that you'll learn to love. You'll come home from work and you'll hear something that ain't quite right on the way home, so you'll just stop in the driveway and start tweaking the DSP, and then look up and it's like 9:00 at night. All of a sudden, you're like, "What the hell happened? Where did I let time go?" Yeah, you were in the zone, baby. That's the real magic that no one talks about. Getting all up in that zone. Epicenter. Well, just so you know, there's a whole lot of different options for bass restoration. For the right people, it's the perfect solution. For me, it's not, because most of what I play is really heavily bassed, so an epicenter would just cause destruction. I absolutely do not have any bass enhancement turned on in my vehicle whatsoever. My EQs on pretty much everything in my Tahoe are dead flat. And I don't have any. I have my bass set on everything is turned down. I have no bass boost or anything, any of that stuff, because the music that I'm playing is all, a lot of bass. So we have it tuned specifically for that. But for some people, it works great. If you're someone that listens to music that's from the 70s and maybe the 80s and 60s, 70s, 80s, and you like bass, and that's all you listen to, putting something like that on your system is absolutely going to lower everything an octave or a harmonic of an octave, which is basically it's going to rebase all that music actively while you're listening to it and give you more of an immersive deep bass experience from music that was never mixed with that much bass in it. So yeah, it's a great thing for the right people in the right circumstances. That's my thoughts. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with it, but I'm glad that you are happy. There's a guy over in England on YouTube. That's the shit when it comes to BMWs, exotic cars, getting the perfect sound. Yeah, I know. Those guys are crazy over there. It's always raining, so all they had time to do is tune shit. It's always raining over there, man. She's a brick. Yeah, baby. That'll really give you a good front stage if you're set up right. Yeah, Brick House is a great one. Wasn't it the Gap band? I'm probably wrong about that. Front stage, William said. The whole trick is to got to get the good music playing first. Great music files, FLAC. Yeah, and while I agree with you, I don't think it's as much as importance. It's more important how the song is mixed than the actual quality or the amount of information there is on the track. I should do a demo for that. Hang on a damn second. I can actually, let me see. Let me go peek over here and see if I have one that I can just drop on you guys. Now it's not going to matter because you'd be hearing it over YouTube, so it's going to sound the same, but it sounds the same all the time anyway. Okay. But these are, should I do this? I should always do this. Hang on. Y'all just chill out for a second. All right. Now, let me get this over here and see if I can get this over here. All right, I'll put them both over there. Okay. We're going to do a little active experiment, so get ready. And I happen to have, because I was working on this track, and I happen to have it saved in. So, hang on. God, you guys are so pushy. Stop yelling at me. All right, there you are. You're hiding over there under the thing. All right, so these two tracks, one of them is an MP3, and it was saved at 24,000 hertz and below. The other one is a WAV file that's saved at 82,000 hertz WAV file. All right, and I'm going to play some of both of them, and I want you to tell me if you can hear a difference. Again, this is coming over a stream, and it's coming over YouTube, so we're probably a terrible, freaking ridiculous experiment that has 0 point. But I'm just going to do it anyway, because you're just going to have to deal with it. We're going to do this shit. We're going to do it. All right, here we go. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. And you guys tell me. All right, now, I don't know if anybody was paying attention. This one is a ultra, on the streaming service, considers this an ultra HD track. This one is barely considered an HD track. It's like a standard track. So it's almost we're at 24,000 hertz. It's just barely above what the thing actually registers. This one is 82,000 high resolution audio. It's about as high as you're ever going to see on any streaming service or any high res thing. Now, did you hear any appreciable difference between those two? Let's play a little more. We're going to play the MP3 first. Now we're going to play the wave. Y'all hearing any major difference between those two? They're like huge wide gap between these two tracks. You should hear something. I mean, it doesn't get any bigger of a gap. The one on the left the one with the little cone is basically what you would call hot garbage. And the one over here, the light blue one, is as good as it gets. You guys are hearing them side by side. Are you hearing that big of a difference? They're literally the same exact output. So I just wanted to drop that on you guys, let y'all play around with that. If you didn't catch any differences later on, you don't have headphones on or whatever, come back and listen to it again. And later on, pull it back up and listen. See if you can tell the difference. So what I was going to say was, in reference to this, it's more about how the song is mixed, how it's produced, and how it's mastered is going to make a bigger difference in how useful it is in building a soundstage than the amount of information or the quality of the track. That said, you can reach a point to where the track has such poor quality that it definitely becomes an influencer and it definitely degrades your experience and becomes hot garbage. Yes. But it's surprisingly, you can go surprisingly low before you hit that point. Now, understand that I have been a proponent of telling everyone you should get Tidal, you should get Amazon and pay extra for that really great file. And then, of course, I heard the improvement, right? But I also got to thinking about that. Am I hearing the improvement, or is the fact that I paid extra for it and it says it's better, is that telling my brain that I should be hearing the improvement, or am I actually hearing something different? So in that regard, I've tested myself blindly, having somebody else control the same test we did here, having someone else control which track was played. And I have a hard time doing that. I have like a 50-50 shot at getting it right, which means I can't tell the difference. That said, I do want to cover one thing. I used to have this really cool system in this little Ford Ranger pickup. Had a really good sounding system in it. And one of my favorite tracks to play was the Doobie Brothers. It was the greatest hits album. And I remember listening, and I played it on a CD. And I remember listening to that, man, those highs, those chimes. Oh, backwater, keep on rolling. The chimes coming in the beginning. That was jamming, right? I remember hearing the crispness in that, when they kicked off and the rock parts and stuff. I remember hearing all that. So later on, whenever I had my system in my Chevy truck, which was infinitely better than the system I had in that Ford, even though the Ford system sounded really good. And I was playing high-res tracks, as high-res as I could get, FLAC files even. I could not get that sound back. And the thing is, I was playing it off a CD before, but a CD's bit rate is actually pretty low. It's pretty crap. We have MP3s with far more information than a CD. So yeah, I'm not really sure how that happened. I mean, was it nostalgia? I don't remember TV picture tubes looking as bad as they did. I remember them looking really good whenever we had a good signal, crystal clear. I look back now and I'm like, oh my God, this image is absolutely atrocious, actually horrible. I guess it's just what I'm judging it by. I've gotten used to one thing and now the other thing looks like crap. I don't know. This is shit I think about all the time. And there's a term called psychoacoustics, which is very much a part of creating a soundstage. I think there's also should be a term called psychooptics, which has to do with what you see, even though I don't think that the word actually exists. It should. Basically, how your brain interprets what you hear, how your brain interprets what you see, and whether you think something's over to the right or over to the left, because you only have two ears. How are you getting that three-dimensional shape? But your brain's able to parse that together and give you a space where that sound is coming from. A good system is supposed to be able to trick your brain into thinking stuff is coming from different spaces when it's all actually coming from one of the two doors, or whatever. It's very interesting shit. And I get deep into this, really, really deep into this. But I'm sure most of my people are not interested in hearing about my psychoacoustics philosophy. Okay. What do I prefer, a push in or a build in? We call it a slide in or a build in. A slide in has the benefit of being able to be constructed outside your vehicle and then pushed into the vehicle and then put in. That's how my Tahoe wall is. It's a slide in. So we constructed that box. I've got tons of video on me constructing that box, designing it, constructing it, put it in, and then connected it to the vehicle. A build-in would be where you go in, strip everything out, and literally build inside the vehicle and construct the thing as part of the interior. Just to clear it up for anybody who doesn't know what he's talking about. A build-in is always going to be a better result. Always, 100%, always going to be a better result. Because you're connecting everything together, you're getting rid of resonances, you're maximizing airspace, which means you can do bigger, better things. You're losing panel resonances and panel gaps, and all that stuff is going away because it's becoming part of the shell of the vehicle. It's infinitely better in every single way, except one. Well, technically two, I guess. So one of the ways where a build-in is not better is that you have to get in the vehicle and build inside the vehicle. That means you're going to be crawling around your hands and knees, ducking and dodging and cramped up in tight spots and working in these weird locations. So if you're physically impaired, that may not be an option. That's this guy. The second one is with a slide in, you can use a slide in a scenario where you can retain the interior integrity of the vehicle completely. And so that you're not destroying any of that interior integrity, and you can remove that slide in and then go back to a stock looking vehicle at some point. That's the differences. For sound of any kind, what do I prefer? A build-in, but I can't do it. So that's why I don't have one. Although there is some shit that's on the table. It's on the pipeline that may end up transpiring by the end of next year. So, and I don't know, it may start early towards the beginning, maybe in October or so of next year, somewhere around where it starts to get the last of the shows are happening. There may be some shit coming. It all depends on like everything. Okay, so we're looking at getting the house probably in January or February or March, somewhere in that range. We're also going to be getting a house that has a shop. So I'm going to have an outside space where I can pull a vehicle inside and at least make it remotely not murderously cold or hot inside that building. And I can do a whole lot more stuff at nighttime and whenever I'm awake, whenever that is. It's going to open up a lot more possibilities and make things a whole lot more doable for me. So if all of these things transpire and how they transpire and what we end up doing is all going to dictate how that goes. But there's a good possibility that could happen. So, yeah, and I'll be able to have a freaking table saw and some sawhorses and a place and bench and a bench router and all that kind of cool shit. All that stuff's going to become possibility. I'll straight up have a car audio fab kitchen, right, out in my garage. So, yeah, I went a long ways off trail with that. William said, "Hey, brother, did you get a chance to demo the Behemoth?" To demo the Behemoth. I don't know what you're we're talking about EXO's vehicle? No. If we lived in the same state, I'd be hanging out at his house all day, all the time. But he lives over in Nashville, outside of Nashville. So no. Yeah, me and Bruce is we're cool, so we get along really well, and we would absolutely hit it off we'd be hanging out all the time. No kidding. We have such similar personalities, but we just happen to live quite a ways from each other. I got a handful of people out there that I could jive with, and we would be out there just having so much fun. But we're so far apart, So Ephraim says, "How do you calculate port length and size?" Whenever I get ready to design, I use a port length calculator. So hang on a second. Do I have one pulled up here? I do. Right there. So you go to this place. This is one place you can go right here. Okay. Go to this site, 12volt.com, right there. And you can go down here and you can see there's a round port length calculator and a slot port length calculator. And then there's a volume calculator for enclosures. There's lots of tools here. So you just go in here, and I know you asked two questions. I'm going to get to the other one. You put in your port diameter, your frequency, and it outputs your length. So that gets you your length, but you need to know the port diameter to start with. So there's a couple of ways to do that. You can use software to do it. There's a little bit of guessing involved, and it kind of varies from one thing to the next. There's rules of thumb. So I can't remember those ratios of cone ratio versus airspace or port diameter versus the airspace inside the box. And there's ratios that's out there that people can give you that'll help. But ultimately, if you got somebody that's got software that can allow you to see port velocities, that's going to be a big help. But for the most part, for me, it's more of I kind of know how big it should be. And also a lot of websites, whenever you're looking at specific subwoofers, they'll give you a port's shape and size to get in that ballpark. And so, yeah, I utilize that. And then, that's just what I do. It's kind of a gut thing. I know about how big it should be. And that's honestly what I end up going with most of the time. If it's something really big and crazy, I hit up my buddy over at Eagle Designs, and he'll give me a port to fit what I'm doing. He'll go into his little software and pull it up and do it. Is there math? Yes. And there's plenty of places where you can find that. But there's a whole lot of different opinions. That's the problem with having a set knowledge base, is there's so many different opinions of how you should judge that port area. Some will say it's so many square inches per this many cubic inches or cubic inches inside the enclosure. Others will tell you it's based off of the size of the speaker, how many square inches of cone area versus how much square inches of port. I say it's more of a magic trick. You shoot the shotgun up in the air and some of the shot falls down and kills a rabbit. It was the right amount. That's the best answer I can give you. Now, there is one other thing you can do. I don't have it pulled up though. So let me go in here and dig in for a second. I'll show you something else. Yeah, I'll pull this up. I did have this on that tab on there, but somehow I managed to break it. So one of my favorites is this website right here, and it works pretty good. So you go to this website and you see it's subbox.pro. And then you can do all this signing up and crap, but basically you just want to click on subwoofer box design. And in this case, it kind of got something already in here, so it just starts out like this. But you still have to put in your port. So when you go over to your port information, you're going to need to put your port diameter in here, and you can just leave that what it is. And then it's going to give you your port area based on the diameter. So if you're doing a pipe and you have a 5.35 inch pipe, you're going to have 22.5 inches of area, right? So depending on how you're doing it, and you just put all the information in. When you get done changing it, you put in that, hit the calculate, and it'll automatically fix it, which I didn't change anything. But if I was to change that to a slot front panel without changing anything else, see, we have what looks like a pretty good setup here. 23 inches area, tuned at 35. That's too low, man. What the hell? I can't be rolling like that. Let's tune that shit down. I just can't have it. Now watch how big this port goes. Whoa, wrapping all the way around now. So then we need 20. We got 23.2. That's pretty good. It's probably a pretty big port for that. 23 inches for, what is that? A 10, 12? It's a 12. All right, so a single 12. That's going to be a loud ass box, I can tell you that. So the larger your port area is, the more volume you're going to get out of the box. But it's also going to reduce your range. It's going to reduce subwoofer control, so you're more likely to damage things. And it's going to not, obviously you're going to need a much longer port to play lows. So it's not going to be a low monster. It's just going to be a honker, more of an SPL box. If you look at the way SPL boxes are made, it's basically a big giant port. And that's because you can, at one frequency, you can just blast it, right? But it's going to be a fairly high frequency, and it's going to sound like garbage everywhere else. A box like this would actually play lows pretty good. It's still going to be pretty honky. That's a pretty big airspace. So if we reduce the airspace to, say, 16 inches, and then recalculate, notice how the port shrunk. It's not as long. And that means we're not going to get as much volume out of this port as we would on a bigger port, but we're able to get lower, and we're able to get a little bit more airspeed, a little bit more wind speed, because now the air is moving. It's going to be a windier box, and we could even tune it lower. So we took that down to like what do y'all want to do? 24 hertz? Take it down to 24 hertz. See, we're still able to get a 24 hertz tube in that box now, because we shrunk the airspace. But also by shrinking that, you're increasing the wind velocity, and at some point you're going to start hearing it. So you have to figure out how much wind velocity you want versus keeping it not sounding. You don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear that. When you blow over the top of the bottle, it makes that boom, boom, boom sound. Well, a port will start doing that too, and it'll make a horrible noise, and you do not want that in your vehicle. You will know it immediately when it happens. It'll sound like somebody raking their fingers over a chalkboard. It's absolutely horrible when you start hearing that port noise. I've had it happen, and you know it immediately, and you know something is wrong, and that's what it is. Again, this is a deep dive, and these are just how I do it, and there's a lot of magic that happens in there. Let's see what else is in here. We talked about the Behemoth, and we attempted to talk about port length and size. Ryan says, I'm sorry you're dealing with heart disease. Failure. I just wanted to say I enjoy your videos. Thank you very much, man. I enjoy you guys hanging out with me and learning about this ridiculous habit. This hobby. They call it a hobby. It's not a hobby. It's friggin' addiction. That's what it is. There's a difference, I think. But appreciate you, man. Real Cisco. I'm going to call you Cisco, I guess. Cisco Montano. What would be better, 310s, 4K, or 115 and a 3.5, both on a... Whoa. Let me start over, because I think we got sidetracked here. SQL or SPL, pros, cons. Oh, boy. That's a lot of questions. What would be better, 310s, 4K, or 115 at 3.5, both on a 4K? 115 at 3.5. I am very confused by that. So I'm going to just go with 310s or 115. 310s are going to have more cone area, so that's what I would go with. If you have the room for a single 15, do you have a room for two? That would be even better. But it's not, in some cases, it's either going to be the baffle that restricts your subwoofer choices or the amount of airspace you have. If there's a question as to airspace, always favor the smaller sub with the correct airspace over the bigger sub with not quite enough airspace. You're going to get way more out of that smaller sub with the right airspace, and you're going to like it a whole lot better. SQL or SPL, that's one of those terms people have assigned to themselves. I am kind of an SQL guy. I kind of have an SQL mode where I can create a pretty good soundstage and you can enjoy music in my vehicle, mostly. But then I have full SPL mode where I can, do a 57 on a meter and blow your hair around like you're, some kind of magician in a movie, and yeah, I do a little bit of both. That's because SQL is for people that want everything but don't actually ever get to one specific thing. You just kind of want your hands in all of it, so you just try to make it all fit. It's kind of a compromise of every part of the world. But I feel like that's a good place for me because that's how I am. I'm a very generalized person. I believe that everyone can have many, many hobbies and like many, many things that don't necessarily jive with each other. I'm very creative and I'm very jack of all trades kind of person. So my vehicle represents what I do. Same way with my studio. Bobby just said, why? Why? Because goats, Bobby, goats. You just keep on, having fun with Mickey and things will be fine. Yeah, I was right. Okay, thank you for making sure I wasn't losing my freaking mind. Clinton grew up in Hope. Yeah. Was it Hope, Arkansas that had that whole heroin importing thing going on that the Clintons were mixed up in? I think that was where they were importing heroin from South America, like a lot. There was, oh man, the government was so jacked. I think that was in Hope also. I'm sure you'll let me know, William. Trying to utilize best space for 4 feet. Yeah, 4 cubic feet. Yeah, that's a single 15 territory. Well, then it comes down to your baffle. Do you want more of a squished flat baffle or a big square baffle? That's kind of where that's going to happen at. But I'm thinking probably your 10s might be your better choice, bro. And going with something the nice long throw. Like the Smackdowns. Do they have a 10? We have a 10 in Smackdowns? I'm about to run my mouth before I know. I can't remember. I don't never look at small subs. We have the Oblivion 10s for sure. The smallest Smackdown is the 12. Yeah. So we'd rock the Oblivions. That's what I run anyway. Oblivion 10. Oh my God, these things are so wicked, dude. 3,000 watts max, 1,500 watt RMS. 1,500 watts RMS. $189 a piece. I mean, check it out, dude. That is a nasty little 10. Oh, look at it. Less than $200. So yeah, a discount code CAE will knock 10% more off of that price. It's good stuff all around. Let's see here. So yeah, I'd go with the 10s. Those 3 of those. Biddle says, it's crazy. I love bass. Never will. I give it up, but I have more fun on my front stage and my processor as I get older. I totally get that, man. For me, that's my jam too. I really love playing with that. But I get the best feeling whenever I put people in my vehicle and I get their eyes to pop open wide and they're like, oh, I absolutely love that. And then when they come back from that and they got this big grin on their face and it's permanently etched into their face. That's my jam right there too. So I really enjoy that. Um, Mr. Glitchy, what's up, man? Anyone try a Sundown U series in a sealed box? Thinking of sealing off my port. You can. They work in a sealed box. Sundown Unofficial had four. He had 418s in a stupid high ratio fourth order in that Blazer he built, the pink Blazer. And I say stupid high ratio. Basically, the sealed enclosure was just big enough to incorporate the magnet and basket of the subwoofer. There was literally no. He basically built the enclosure out of rings that the subwoofer set on. So he just stacked them up until he had just enough height to let the magnet not hit the box in the back. That was how big they were. And he did four of those in there on the back wall of that, like 20-to-1 ratio, whatever it was. It was ridiculously big. Very loud, extremely loud, full built in, crazy custom thing. Totally undrivable, but loud as shit. But yeah, they'll work in a sealed enclosure. The U is kind of slept on. It's a good subwoofer. Kind of surprisingly good. Yeah, I know, and I get that. I get that. That's what I said. We're compressing both signals, but um, I can't demo anything more than that on YouTube. So it is what it is. Should I pull over in somebody's driveway and get out my processor? Get my processor going? Baby, I can't wait till I get home. For real, man. Just pull over and I've stopped at like McDonald's or something or Wendy's and grabbed some food and parked in the parking lot and been sitting out there for 3 hours tuning the vehicle. I wind up going back to the drive-through to get more shit. I've done this many times, bro. I know that pain. You just get it in your system and you just get caught up in it. It's a game all in itself. Brother, all I know is I quit using YouTube and all that shit and I started using some pay for FLAC. Yeah, and I agree. I could tell the difference too. I just don't know if I really could tell the difference. If it was just, I'm just being honest with myself, man. I mean, if you can't be honest with yourself, then you're pretty much screwed. I'm listening to it, going, it sounds good, but is it a difference? Is it really a difference? I'm thinking about that. Like, can I really tell the difference? And also, you got to think about this too. The streaming service may be giving you a tuned down version for a slightly rolled off highs and everything, so that whenever you do switch, you can hear a difference. They may be creating a difference. And if you say that, no, they would never do that. Bullshit. Money. They're going to do it. If they can, if they've thought of it, they're going to do it. They're going to just kind of tone down that track so that when you listen to this one, you go, oh, that sounds way better. You think that won't happen? It will. So it's a lot of questions. And it's what I do when I'm not doing this stuff. Okay. What I do is basically sound engineering shit. I am many hours a day, I am mixing and mastering music. So I'm listening to so much different shit and I'm hearing all these different elements. I'm getting a chance to listen to this in real time with a good quality sound around me to hear the differences as they come out. And I'm more of a person that can actually judge it because I'm sitting here exposing myself to multiple different levels and different grades of signals. And a signal is a signal. If the signal is accurate, it's accurate. It's just that simple. I mean, a broken up weak MP3 is going to give you little blocks. It's going to connect the dots. It's not perfect, but a pretty decent resolution MP3 to your ear is not going to sound any different. It's more about how well it's mixed and mastered than anything. That's going to break the difference. But it is what it is, man. I mean, yeah, is there a difference? Yes, there is a difference. You can see the difference in the graph. But can your ear hear the difference? That's the question. Mr. Glitchy, depending on if you want higher tuning. Okay. All right. I'm missing that one, but that's okay. Yeah, I can imagine the difference. Let's see. Is this is the most biased test? You're talking about my, yeah, it wasn't biased. It's just they're both being compressed and streamed. So, you know, ultimately, you're only going to get the best quality that YouTube will actually, technically, you're going to get the best quality that Restream can send you, because YouTube is working with what? So it's going from my computer through Restream, then to YouTube, and then to you. So it's going to be a compromised signal, but you know, what the hell? CD is uncompressed, yes, but it also is digitized. That's how CDs work. It's like dots. It's dots and dashes, on and off. And it works the same exact way. Well, for all practical purposes, it works the same way an MP3 does. It's essentially not a continuous wave. It's different platforms of a wave that the little computer in there, the little DAC that takes it and turns it from a digital signal to an audio signal, converts that, and it goes, okay, this dot's here, and this dot's here. That means there should be a line connecting those. Okay. So the DAC is the important part. It turns it from a digital signal into an audio signal. That's what digital audio converter means. Okay. So a CD, the bit rate on a CD is in the realm of an MP3. And an MP3 DAC does exactly the same thing in connecting those dots. It's technically the same amount of shit. The difference is a lot of stuff is mixed that are mixed for MP3s, or for anything else for that matter, are compressing. The engineer that's mixing the sound or that's remixing the sound is compressing it. Or the signal that you're using to send the signal from here to here is compressing that sound to make it easier to transfer. Then on the other end, it'll be uncompressed and played. If you have a good uncompression system and a good compression system, it's still going to be the same signal coming out as the one went in. It's all about, we've already established 15, 20 years ago that at that time, anything called an MP3 sounded like shit. That's because it did sound like shit. Today, it's not the case anymore. It's like the same thing with half bridge amplifiers and full bridge amplifiers. There's no difference in the sound anymore. It's the same thing with the Class D amp and a Class AB amp. There's literally no difference in the sound anymore. At the time those things were introduced, they were bad. And so our brain said, okay, this is bad, this is good. And then we stopped learning from that point. Well, as that technology improved and got better, we've never let them live down the fact that they sucked 10 years ago. Same thing with Bluetooth. Bluetooth was first introduced, it compressed a lot. And the decompression and compression algorithms that handled that were bad, okay? Because they weren't trying to move high quality audio from point A to point B. They were just trying to move audio from point A to point B. And so when people started streaming a lot and doing all that, they had to go, wait a minute, we need to build a better model to be able to handle moving, compressing and decompressing and turning that back into an audio signal. And they've been working on that, and they've gotten better and better at it. And to the point now, my whole Tahoe runs off Bluetooth. I run a tablet that feeds a Bluetooth signal to my DSP. That's how my audio gets back there. That's how I also did it in my pickup truck. And I had a SQ set up. And I had SQ judges sitting in my vehicle blown away by how good it sounded. And I was straight up streaming freaking MP3s over Bluetooth to my DSP. And they were sitting there with their eyes wide open going, this sounds amazing. So I know that it happens. Right now, like I said, we've just gotten adjusted to this, and we don't want to change. And I have to keep changing. I'm not allowed to be a stick in the mud like you guys are, right? You guys can go, oh, well, I'm just going to do this and just turn me off, and you're good. And I understand that. I can't do that. I have to keep evolving because times change, and I have to stay up with what's happening. So I'm very much on top of that. And I gave you a whole lot of information there, and not all of it was 100%, but it was close enough. The CD and MP3 are not the same thing, but they work a lot in the same way, and they're going to give you about the same quality now. In fact, there's MP3 files now that are significantly higher quality than CD files. But we're okay with CDs because that happened back then when we thought, and they were such an improvement over what we were listening to beforehand, that CDs became amazing, and they were amazing. And so now your brain says, well, CDs are awesome, always awesome. Nothing else comes along is going to be better than a CD because it's awesome. But when you do the math, it's not awesome anymore. It's actually inferior. That said, I still heard stuff from a CD that I didn't hear any other way. I will say that, and I can't explain it. So there may be some merit to it, but by the words and the books and the paper and the math, it shouldn't be that way. Williams says, you're going to get mixed reviews. That because some people just can't handle in your face versus slightly muffled, calm type track. Sure, absolutely. You put me up with that test. I think I like both of them. Surprising, huh? I got 300 amp hour lithium. You want to hear that track? You guys want to hear that track? I haven't got it up on Spotify or anything yet. It's just dwelling. I'll play the whole track for you. It's kind of crazy. I'm not sure that I'm going to upload it. It may be one of those that never gets up, but it's cool. Shit, you know what? Let's do it. I'm feeling it. We'll do the wave version, so we'll have the maximum resolution. Hang tight.
Cypher X with a hyperflex, I'm slicing next with a Python text. I'm a microchip with a lightning glitch. When I flip this script, it rewrites your specs. I'm a cyclone breath in a typhoon chest. When I boom through rooms, like ignite your decks. I'm a time loop thread in a mindset spread, running rhymes so fast it'll fry your eggs. I'm a binary blaze in a fiber maze with a mind that phases through firewall haze. I'm a laser that grazes the gate you raise, and I maze through waves like a tidal craze. I'm a particle spark in the dark that arcs. When I charge, I mark every bar with remarks. I'm a blueprint ghost with a code in my throat, and I float every note like a boat in the parks. C-A-E is in the back room, Cypher X is on the mic. Oh damn man. C-A-E is in the back room, Cypher X is on the mic. Here he goes again. I'm the rapid rhythm raptor, ripping patterns in the plaster. I'm the faster than a faster, spitting chapters like a blaster. I'm the master of disaster, dropping data like a hacker with a vector track reactor, making metaphors shatter. I'm the nanosecond phantom in the anthem you were chanting. I'm the lantern in the cavern where the shadows started dancing. I'm the avalanche advancing with a manic beat expansion. Every syllable I'm slamming leaves your CPU jamming. I'm the turbine turning, word line burning, curve spine learning, overdrive churning. I'm the whole room's current, let the whole world see. Cypher X on rap, fuzzy raps at a J. C-A-E is in the back room, Cypher X is on the mic. Oh damn man. C-A-E is in the back room, Cypher X is on the mic. Here he goes again. Cypher X X with the megaton mind spin, winding the lines in a spiral, designing rhyme engine, climbing a titan, igniting, slicing the silence with violent time. I'm a quantum collision, a vision, revision, a prism, a rhythm with surgical precision. I break down friction with algorithmic diction and flip whole scripts with a coder's incision. I'm the overclock cortex, vortex, force flex, torching the decks with a hex in the floor step, storming the circuit, disturb it with words that's burning infernos and virtual doorsteps. I'm a voltage ghost with a bow compose, overload mode when the flow explodes. I fold time over like a woven code, then I roam through zones where the pole roads. I'm a satellite slash with a battle cry crash. On a rebel mind math in a technical flash. I'm a radical fan, I'm a graphical rap, ripping the track like mechanical clamps on the rapid fire riddle with the raptors middle. When I snap, I whittle whole maps to scribble. When I blast these symbols, passion mental temples till the beat collapse and the wire sizzle. C-A-E is in the back room, Cypher X is on the mic. Whoa, yeah, yeah, yeah. C-A-E is in the back room, Cypher X is on the mic. Here he comes. I'm the nuclear linguist, the luminous mystic, delivering lyrics with physics so cryptic that the faith and logistics go ballistic, shifting existence with instincts. I'm the friction that fuses the music's acoustics.
Appreciate that. Sorry, guys. I have my mic turned off. What did y'all think about that track? Let me know in the comments. I got it squared away now. So Barry says you got a 300 amp hour alternator, a LiPo with, I got sound now. Yeah, I got sound now. Okay. I got a 300 amp hour LiPo. You guys' comments are still pouring in. I know y'all can hear me now. It's just a delay. That's got to be what it is. Y'all still tell me my mic is muted. Thank you for telling me, but hopefully that's passed now. Can y'all hear me? Somebody say yes. Because everybody's been saying no. I want to hear one person say yes, you're good. So I know. Okay, good. Now we're good. All right. So Barry says I got a 300 amp hour LiPo 4 battery with 200 amp BMS. And I'm thinking that that's a headway. It sounds like a headway. It's a lot of power and it'll be fine for what you're doing. You may have some, you may have a little bit of a cool down period. Like if you play a couple of songs or whatever, you may have to sit down and let the voltage come back up because you're not really going to be putting much power into those batteries. It would behoove you to put at least a bigger alternator on there, but you'll probably be okay as long as you give it a break every 2 or 3 songs. You'll probably be able to maintain voltage. I'm hoping that's not a headway setup. If it is, I would just get rid of that completely. So just saying, headway is, I have a horrible history with headway and I just don't like them in a car. They're just not, they're not good for car. Mr. Glitchy, I thought Seal was better for low bass extension. It is unless you're tuning your port for low bass extension. See, I tune my shit down like right now. My Tahoe's tuned at approximately 27 to 28 hertz. I can play 24 hertz at full power without any damage. That's a big difference, but that also means that my upper bass is limited to about 40 hertz. So my bottom shelf is around 22 hertz up to about 40 hertz is what range I can play. which is perfect for the shit that I do, which is why it's tuned that way. So yeah, you can tune and get that low extension. Seal is going to get you low extension by default, but it's also going to fall off. So as I said, there's always trade-offs. A sealed enclosure is going to give you a rolled off low extension that goes down really low, but it's going to lose authority down low. But it's also going to be able to play much, much, much higher. So you're going to be able to continue playing bass up into the 100 hertz, 120 hertz, 150 hertz range with a sealed enclosure, where with a ported enclosure, even tuned appropriately, you're going to have a much narrower space that you can play, but you can play all of that with authority. So there's trade-offs. I can definitely tell an SQ spike from the first one to the second one. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Hey, you know what? We can look at it. I'll do that in a second. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do another experiment. You know what? Let's do that now. I'm going to do that right freaking now. We're going to look at it. We can't hear the difference because we're listening to compressed shit. But I can put both tracks in Audacity and we can look at what's different. We can look at exactly what's different. So give me just 1 second here and I'll do that because I think that would be a cool idea. I don't know why I hadn't thought of that already today. I'm a slacker. Just call me a slacker. Let me open up a different one. I'm already working on a song in here, but I'll open up a new one. And we'll minimize that one. So now I'm going to let you guys, I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to drop in X, and I'm going to drop in the other one. Okay. Well, this isn't going to be a fair comparison because one of them I never completed mastering it. That's probably why you're hearing the difference, by the way. I didn't finish the mastering. Let me see here. Hang on. So, would that be a better? That works. All right. So now we're going to go over here. I'm going to move this over to the other screen and put this over here. And we're going to do things and stuff. Now we're going to do a full Andy and we're going to look at it. Okay. So we're going to look at it. Let's look at it. All right. Now, one of these two tracks is the WAV file, and one of them is the MP3 file. Now, looking at them, you can see a little bit of difference in those two, can't you? Look at that. Let's see here. Let's zoom in on where we get to the right at the very beginning here. We're going to keep digging deeper. All right, and I want to show you what, this is going to be hard to move slowly. I got so much, we just want a single point. We don't care where it is. I just want a point in here where we can examine things. So let's look at this area right here. Okay? Now you guys pay attention. Don't be sleeping in the back room. So on one of these files, you see this one right here. You see how that sound wave runs up and then it goes back down and back up and back down. And down here is the same exact thing. The difference is down here, it doesn't go down quite as far. It's got a little bit further of a lift right there. And if you look at this sound wave down here, this is the other channel. You can see that it's a little bit lower there, where this one's just a little bit brighter. That's the difference. Let's look over here at this section here. Over here, you can see that this sound wave here is coming down below the line this amount, and down here it's coming down below the line slightly more. Very slightly. But it's a difference. Can you hear that? I don't know. Let's zoom in further, because if we want to see the amount of a difference, let's get in here deep. That's too far in. You can't even see anything. But what you should be expecting to see is one of them to be all speckled like little blocks, and one of them to be nice and round. But they both look the same, except for the slight differences in the amplitude. Like in this section here, if you look at this section, this one has slightly more amplitude than this one does. And honestly, you know, That's the difference. So how much of this is perceivable by your ear? I don't know. Um, I can play them again. I can play them one at a time. See, I can go down here and mute that one and play this one. Then I can switch. And, well, that didn't work. About together, play them both together. Oh, that's very boosted. We're getting them both at the same time. Crazy stuff. You know, you can also revert it, and I can't remember how to do that off the top of my head. But there's a oh, you want to see what a low pass filter does? Check this out. Go effect. We go down here and do a filter. We'll do a low pass filter on this bottom one at 35 hertz. Apply. Watch what happens. Ooh, look at this. Look, nothing but bass. Nothing but bass. If we solo that one, so we go down here and solo it. That's all you get. That's the bass line that I built in this whole track. You can see it changing down here. That's all the bass notes that I built in here when I made this track. It's all low frequency stuff. I can actually select a portion of that, hit analyze and hit plot spectrum and see that that is a peak of 31 hertz right here. It's peaking at 31 hertz. That means it's a 31 hertz note. If I do that one, I don't remember. Yeah, it's 31 hertz too. Whatever you select, like, what is that? I don't know. Analyze, plot spectrum, 31 hertz. But yeah, that's how you can tell what frequency the note is. I love this. This is the kind of stuff I do all the time, all day, all the time. I mess with this shit. So, good times. Good times all around. Sharing stuff with you guys. I love sharing you guys stuff. Teaching you. I don't want to tell you to go buy this because it's the best. I want you to understand. I want to teach you how to understand the things that you need to understand to know why you need to pick a specific thing over another specific thing. Or maybe one works better in one situation or one works better in a different situation. You need to understand how to fish. I don't want to just hand you fish. So that's my theory on Frank Bennett. I normally don't jump ahead in the comments, but I know I'm kind of far behind on them right now. So that track is a 31 hertz track. That's its bottom end. It's more designed for impact. It has a ton of impact. Okay. Let me go back here and finish up because I got to catch up. I don't want you guys to think I'm ignoring you. Yep. I understand that completely. Let me skip through here a little faster. Yeah, this is the most biased test ever. Yep. CD is uncompressed. That's kind of a complicated statement. There's a difference between EQ spikes from either track. You know what, man? You're totally right. What is this? If I remember the guy named Mutt Lange, yeah. Shania Twain, yep. Produced all the Def Leppard stuff, yep. And he started producing Def Leppard after On Through the Night. On Through the Night was their first album, and it was not produced by Mutt Lange. But beyond that, it was all Mutt Lange. When you heard Def Leppard go, rock and roll, well, that was Def Leppard with Mutt Lange. And yes, masterclass in production. Absolute masterclass in production. Hey, slam that like button, guys. Bringing back memories now. I remember being a kid, having to go out there, spin the damn antenna pole. Oh my God, yeah. Turn the antenna. I'm like, dude, I'm wearing my underwear and my t-shirt. I don't care. My little chicken leg ass be out there, my underwear and my t-shirt behind the trailer spinning that damn antenna. Oh my God, that was such a pain in the ass. We had 4, 7, and 11. And one day I was screwing around and discovered that you could get 16 on UHF. And it was a secret. Nobody knew about it. And I was able to watch all kinds of cool shows on channel 16. Everybody was like, what the hell is 16? That shit didn't exist. I'm like, check it out, man. You use these other 2 screws and you can go to 16 and look at this. You can watch this cool stuff. Yeah, that was a secret, man. This childhood was a son of a bitch. Let's see here. One guy. Oh, welcome to the green team, Barry. Welcome to the green team, my friend. Glad to have you. One guy here said he thought Sealed had better base extension. Yeah. Yep. I agree with that. Yep. Kevin Gain helps to sort that out. Sure. 100%. That could be we could do a whole show on sealed versus ported. I mean, and we still wouldn't even scratch the surface. So yeah, but you're right. So who's got the king title out there right now? These shows, I haven't heard it, but I think EXO's build is something hard to beat. EXO is not the loudest. Not even close, unfortunately. And Bruce is what y'all know about Bruce or EXO is he's energetic and fun and all that stuff, and he builds cool stuff. What you don't necessarily know is that Bruce is one of the most warm, gentle, soft-hearted, caring human beings you'll ever meet in your life. He's a very, very deep emotional person. And he loves hard in his life. You know, he's a really cool guy. That's all I can say. I don't want to get too deep. Just know that he's a wonderful person. Now, having said that, and his shit is wicked loud. I mean, I think he's up around the 70 mark now, but he's nowhere near the loudest thing out there. When it comes to demo vehicles, he's probably maybe in the top 30 in the United States, I'd say. And I'm just rough guessing as full demo vehicles. When it comes to sound pressure, like straight up meter stuff, his build wasn't built specifically for that. It's still loud as shit, but it's not even in the top, probably in the top 50. But he's definitely, that's a big freaking crowd of people he's in. You're talking about thousands of vehicles. To be in the top 100 is crazy. So, yeah, I really want to get a demo in that thing. Sealed gets no love on YouTube. I'll take the smaller enclosure. Lower root delay. Yep. Faster transients. Yep. Shallow roll off. Sealed any day over average. Yep. Absolutely 100%. For SQ, I absolutely love running sealed. And my favorite enclosure, my favorite subs still to this day is the TW3 and the TW5 from JL Audio. Those little sealed thins are just so good. They're so clean, and they sound so good in a very, very tiny enclosure. I mean, just they still blow me away every time I hear them. There's just so much there for such a small thing. Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. It depends on what you're doing, man. You know, if I'm dagging out on some freaking SQ stuff, I love it, dude. I love it. I get a kick out of both. I get a kick out of both for different reasons. I enjoy both. I'm definitely not one side or the other. I love the SPL for the shock value and the crowd and the engagement with people. That's the fun part of that. And just sometimes I just want to blow my freaking brains out with, 28 hertz and just knock every crazy thought out of my head so that my brain can finally rest for a few seconds and not think about anything because there's so much vibration that it just literally doesn't matter. You don't want to get in your head. Sometimes you get in your head like something that you can't do shit about, right? Something you have no control over, but you get it in your head and you're trying, and it just stays there, back and forth, chewing through your brain over and over again. That's when the big, huge bass system comes in. You can blow that shit right out of your ears, and it goes away for at least as long as you got the bass. And so sometimes I like to do that. Other times I want to sit out and then kick back and listen to some quiet SQ music and just drift away into another place that way. They all have their elements. You got a roller coaster, Rolls Royce. You pick one, which one day one may be cool, one day the other one may be cool. You don't have to be stuck on one camp. You can enjoy both. Maybe not in the same vehicle as well, but 140 plus. 151 for me, sir. Always been on 12s. And it's mainly because most of the vehicles you've owned, that's been the right amount of subwoofer for the enclosures that will fit in the airspace that you have to work with and what you're willing to sacrifice. That's typically how that works. You get used to it. And you put a 15 in there and you use too small of an enclosure and it sounds like hot shit. And you go, the 12 sounded better. That's why. You didn't have enough airspace for that 15. It's all a matter of building the right enclosure and then putting the driver in there, that fits that enclosure. That's why people have a preference for one sub over another. It's not because one sub is better than another. It's because in every build they've experienced or that they've had, maybe the subs that were this size were actually sized correctly for the enclosure, whereas others were in too small of an enclosure and they didn't get the response they were looking for. So your experience is limited to, or your opinion is limited to your experience. When you're able to experience things that are done properly in different sizes, then it changes how that all works out. But yeah, when it comes to response, talking about small subs respond quicker, all that stuff. With the right amount of power on a subwoofer, it doesn't matter what size it is. It could be 36 inches and it will sound just as tight as a 8. You couldn't tell the difference, except for the one's going to produce a lot more lows at a lot higher volume. But as far as the sound goes, if it's done right, it's going to sound the same. It's got to have enough power to respond appropriately. If you've got a couple of 15s and you don't have enough power on them, they're going to be sloppier and they're going to sound like shit. And also, if you got a port in your enclosure, you're going to have group delay. They're going to have the port, the time delay of the amount the sub starts playing and when the port starts playing. And then when the sub stops and the port stops, that's always going to sound like shit no matter what subwoofers you have on it. It's always going to have that delay. That's just part of the trade-off of running a port. As far as the sub goes, if they're both in sealed enclosures and the enclosures are respective and all that stuff, everything is right and they have the right amount of power on everything, you're going to get the same response times out of larger drivers as you will out of smaller drivers. They won't sound any difference. That said, nobody or most people ever get to that point. They build a generic box, buy a box off Amazon. It's tuned to like 40 hertz. It's going to sound like hot shit. You put that same sub that put in that crap box into a sealed enclosure, it's going to sound way better because you don't have that crappier tuning of that port, that port's off tuning to deal with, and you've got no group delay. It's going to sound better. A sealed enclosure gives you so much more room for bad enclosures too. You can build a sealed enclosure that's way too small, and it's still going to sound good. It's actually going to sound a little tighter and a little more responsive. It ain't going to play lows very well, but it's going to sound better with music. You can build a sealed enclosure that's too big, and you're still going to play. You're going to have some control because you're still playing into a closed-up airspace. There's a whole lot more room for screwing up on a sealed enclosure where you're still going to get a reasonably good response. On a ported enclosure, you got to nail it or it's going to be off. So there's a whole lot of, you can only decide, develop an opinion about something if you experience enough of the stuff to know which one is, it's garbage in, garbage out. If all you've ever heard was shit, then your opinion is going to be shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's not anything against anybody. You just don't have enough experience enough information to make a more rounded decision. Your decision is very narrow because you have only a small amount of input to work with. But yeah, That's all I'm saying. I'm not talking about anybody specifically in chat right now. I'm just saying in general, that's where most people are. They've only experienced this amount of stuff. So the decision they make is based off of this small amount of stuff, right? And that's where you're going to find some people have a different opinion because they have way more input to be able to develop a more rounded opinion. It may not be the perfect one, but it still may be better, right? Tens and 12s. That's Frank's a perfect example. Typically have the best ratios, low moving mass, blah, blah, blah. Yes, yes, yes. But again, that's because he has either following what somebody else has told him or he's only heard garbage big subs or garbage builds with big subs, right? So his input is limited. And he's developed this opinion where 10s and 12s are for him. I get it. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just kind of an uninformed opinion. Like think about it like this. I mean, I'm just going to straight up tell you, like concerts, those guys use 15s, 18s, and sometimes 20-inch drivers to play guitar, to play vocals, to play everything. Now, if a large cone couldn't move fast enough to reproduce accurately, they wouldn't be using these big drivers. The fact is they can, as long as they have the right amount of power and the enclosures are built right, they can absolutely produce those same frequencies and those same transients as quickly as small subs can. It's just a matter of having everything right. That's just a simple fact. Chief says, I'm going to be running about 5,500 watts, 01 Suburban. Better do a battery delete or just have a trunk under 10K in the back. Or run a dual alt. A 10K with a 5,000 watt amplifier on a stock alternator, I'm assuming, it would be fine. You'll get more benefit out of the 10K than you will out of a second alternator. Significantly more benefit. That said, you'll be able to take that 10K to a whole higher level with the second alternator later. So if I just want to do alternator or battery first, I would do the battery 100%. You're going to see way more gain from that than you would by, you may not see any gain at all adding a second alternator because you won't be able to charge your AGM battery can only take in so much power at a time. So no matter how many alternators you have, it's still only going to be able to take in this amount of power at one time, which means it's going to lose voltage no matter what. And you'll be like, what the fuck? I put 3 alternators in this thing and I'm still dimming my headlights. It's because your battery can't take the power they're trying to deliver. However, putting the lithium battery in there will allow the alternator you currently have to be able to feed it as much as it can. And it's going to have enough reserve to kind of compensate. With little breaks in between, it's going to be able to keep up no problem. I played a show, and then in other stuff, I had this video I just put up where I played an unbelievable amount of time off of my batteries. My alternator wasn't even working. And I was playing just off my batteries. If you guys, I just put a video up about this, watch that video. I'm not telling you shit. I'm telling you, go look at what I already done. I've already been there. It's a real thing. That battery is crazy. Little Banger 5K versus Shriko 7,500 amp hour. DIY kit. LTO. I'd go with the 5K over the LTO kit. It's more power dense. And it's going to have its own balancer and great bars and great build quality. So what you'll get with that 5K is better than what you would build with that DIY kit. Straight up. Besides that is the chemistry. LTO is not very power dense. So I would go with the 5K, depending on the price. If that kit you're looking at building is really inexpensive, then maybe it'd be a harder decision. What's up, man? What's up? Big up, car auto community. I got the coaxials, Spine 6.5, best EQ for them. AD DSP 68AT. I got one of those. I got a 4.6 over there on my shelf. 46AT. No, it's not your DSP, bro. It's your skills. I got coaxial 6x9 front doors and coaxial 6.5s. Yeah, you've got a great DSP. You just need to learn to use it. So that's where your failure point is yourself. Get with somebody who does tuning and have them show you and teach you some things. So it's all in the skills. Now you can have the best socket set in the world. You could have a $5,000 Snap-on toolbox full of tools. If you don't know how to use them, they're worthless. And that's kind of where you are. You're still learning. A better or a different DSP isn't going to help you. It's the skills you need to learn. You need to learn how to use those tools you have. You have all the tools you need to make an amazing sound system. Just get the skills and you'll be ready to go. Find someone to work with you. You'll be surprised how far you can go. But welcome to the club. So you're trying, and that's number one. That's the first thing, is getting out there and trying to learn, putting yourself out there. That's how you do it, man. I'm thinking of doing 2 12-inch mid bass, 2 horns. Oh yeah, they absolutely will. Be sure you seal off around those 12-inch mid basses. You want to get a completely sealed chamber behind them to get the maximum amount out of them. Clinton was tied with a very seal, and CIA, they never released that because he's president. Yeah, Bill and Hillary both were neck deep in that. So I mean, that shit went deep. The whole government in that area was all corrupt, and they were all in on the thing. They were all being bought and paid for, and it was sketchy as hell. People were dying, and bodies were missing, and people were randomly dying and shit. That was that stuff got buried. I think that was a bunch of the crap that was on a certain laptop that got destroyed. I think a bunch of that crap was on there, and that's why it got destroyed. But I don't want to get too political on this one. Thank you, Cario Obsessed. Barry Seal. Okay. Frank says MP3s with 320 bit rate will be pretty hard to tell the difference. Yeah, absolutely. And I mix mine are significantly higher than that, like way higher than that. Niall, what's up, man? Sometimes we differ on brands, but great knowledge. Thank you, Jinkar. Change the name. It's Play It. Okay, yeah, I got you. What's up, man? Play it and live it. The greatest part, no ego. I try my best, man. Okay, I try my best. Let's get down through the mic problems here. Track has a lot of bass for sure. Yeah, I have 31 hertz. Yeah, it's pretty stout. It's mixed at like -4, I think. I'm pretty sure it's like -4. I can actually tell you. Hold on a second. Well, look, I'll show you how to tell. I'll show you how to figure that out. So if you go to the track, highlight it like this, the whole track, and analyze, plot spectrum, you can pull this up, right? And look at this peak up here. So if we zoom in closer, this is a peak for everything, not just bass. But if we zoom in close, we can go up and see this is -7.4. So we're higher than that. It won't let me go any higher than that. But why won't it let me go any higher than that? That's probably because it tops out there. But yeah, it's somewhere up there close to 0. But this is what you're looking at now. If you want to mix what the bass is, you can click on this. I've already put a filter on this. So we can look at plot spectrum, and we can do the same thing down here. And you can see that's -5, and we're still going. -5.5 and -5.6, we're still going. So it's close to 0. You can see, all right, so the top of this blue line right here, right there where my cursor is, that's 0. Where it goes from white to gray, that's 0. So we're nowhere even close to 0 on the bass. Now, when you're looking at the whole song up here, you see these little tiny peaks. Let me unmute this. See these little tiny peaks that peak up like that? Well, they will show an amount that's up here this close. It's like if you're doing an analyze and you see that it's like 0, but then you notice these little peaks, like that little peak right there that runs up high. That little peak will make it look like it's much higher. So what you first want to do is take your track and cross it over so you can see where the base is, what looks like this one down here. And then you would analyze this and you can get a more accurate reading. But that's one of the ways you can use Audacity. Audacity is a monstrously powerful tool that is so overlooked, and it's free, guys. You can just, go over to Ninite, Ninite, and use them to download your shit, because that way you don't get any crap. Use Ninite, and you can select all kinds of programs that you want and download them all. And Ninite will automatically decline all the little check boxes that are going to spam you and going to install random crap. It's going to automatically cut all of that and then just install the program that you want. It's a great way to get software without having to go looking up each individual site. You can get all your file decompression software, audio stuff, all that kind of stuff. Just go over to Ninite and check it out. Ninite. For your computer, I don't know about for anything else, but just sharing some information. Let's see here. Brazilian amplifiers, even through input sensitive 4 volt. It's just the way they design their shit. So they're designing it to work within the ecosystem that they have, and their source power is usually fairly low. So they design their amplifiers to run on the source power in that area. I don't have anything else to do with that. It's just the way they decided to design it. I'm not a fan of low voltage input. I'd rather have higher voltage, because higher voltage rejects noise. You have a higher signal to noise ratio whenever you have a higher signal, because the noise is a constant. So if you've got a lot of noise in your cabin and you got a 1 volt signal, that noise signal to noise ratio is fairly close, which means you're going to tend to get lots of hums. But if you have a lot of signal and the same amount of noise, you're going to get way more signal than noise, and it pretty much eliminates that bottom end hiss that you hear. That's why I like having a hotter signal. That, and it's also better for dynamics. My brain hurts. Okay. I remember a long time ago when Napster would take 8 hours to download a couple of songs. They sounded great. Yeah, it's because we were downloading over a 56K modem at like 22K, like half of a 56K power. It's like, man, that was so bad. But it was great. The first time you ever got on the computer and looked up a nudie picture, right? And you were waiting and you saw the top of her head and you just keep waiting. It was line. And you're like, come on, man. You guys all did it. Oh, man. You're like, well, why do that when I got magazines right over here I could look at? But this is different. This is new, right? What chemistry of lithium would I recommend? I like LiPo4 for its compatibility with AGM setups. The chemistry is similar enough to AGM's resting voltage range that you can typically run them together, as long as you're not letting them sit for a long period of time. If you're daily driving it, you can typically run those together. LT4 is more tough. It's more bulky. It's not as power dense. It takes up more space. It's more expensive, but it is ultimately safer. LiPo4, the good LiPo4, is actually very solid and very safe and more power dense though. So I recommend LiPo4 for this for the most part. Right at this moment, things will change in the future though. I'm running LTO lithium. It's just a preference of mine. I keep my truck parked in my garage. I know it's not going to burst up in flames. Yeah. Well, the thing is, if you make a lithium battery fail, let me explain this. So if you manage to fail a battery, here's when it will fail and how it will fail. Outside of mechanical damage, okay, so if you had somebody out in your garage with a drill and they drilled into your battery, there's a real good chance it would fail. LTO probably would fail in less flames. LiPo4 would definitely not fail with less flames. It would be more intense, but it does require that direct damage to do that. Now, the way it's going to fail, if you're going to fail it most of the time, though, is this way. Super cold, and you have a dead battery, a super cold, dead lithium battery, and you crank up your shit, and you're putting 300 plus amps into it. That's when it's going to fail. If it fails, that's when it's going to fail. So you're going to be participating in that. It's not going to spontaneously combust in your garage. It's just no conditions that'll make that happen. Even if it got ridiculously cold and completely froze, like 500 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit, right? It still wouldn't fail. Now, if it was that cold and you tried to put power into it, a lot of power into it, it would absolutely fail. But as long as you're not doing both of those things at the same time, you're not going to have a failure. Where it will fail is if you have an extreme cold and you put a lot of power into a very dead battery. Those are the three things that you need to make that happen. So if you got a battery that's charged properly and then it's really cold and you put a shit ton of power to it, it's not going to fail. Okay? It's not going to fail. That goes for Headway too. Because it's not going to take in that power. It's already charged. It doesn't have to do anything. If the battery's dead and it's cold, real cold, and you put a lot of power on it, it's going to have problems. It may not spontaneously combust into flames, but it's definitely going to be unhappy. So you can put a small amount of power on it, and that'll start to heat the battery up, and then it will be able to take more power. So you can control that, and then you don't have to worry about that problem at all. So it takes a very specific conditions to fail lithium. The other way you could potentially fail lithium is if you manage to draw more power out of it than it can safely discharge faster than it can handle it. Then you can end up with a thermal runaway, which again, fire. That's not going to spontaneously happen in your garage. So you don't really have to worry about that. You're going to be in the vehicle doing some shit when and if you have a problem. So you're not going to just do it. Anyway, hopefully I gave you guys a little bit of knowledge. Now, as far as trunked under lithium batteries go, these guys were all designed to work in Siberia. They were designed for the Chinese military. Those cells are ridiculously good at handling low thermal temperatures. They're rated, Brandon rates them down to negative 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, they will produce significantly less power at those extreme cold temperatures. They're not going to work as well, but they will still be safe. And if you manage to somehow fail one of those batteries, all the tests that Brandon has done, plus a real world event that he managed to capture, have shown that the batteries failed in smoke, not fire. So when they did manage to fail them for doing ridiculous shit to them, they failed by getting hot and smoking out and then nothing, no fire. So that's always a plus. Headway is the opposite. Headway is just wants to catch on fire. That shit's ready to burn all the time. I know, man, I'm crazy. He says, sorry, CIA, I don't have a question, but I'm interested to learn about fabrication. Learned a lot. I do my best, man. I just work with what I got and I try to think through it. But I got some stuff coming up that might be cool. You'll enjoy that. And thank you. No kidding. Let's see here. I got a 45 amp. I'm trying to catch up. 4,500 amp currently. Okay, this sounds like some big shit. I got 4,500 amp currently. But now with these lithium, I wonder if I should get one sub to handle that and then upgrade to a second sub later. And then get a 10K amp or just leave it as it is. To be honest, dude, to give you any kind of really good information, I would need to know more about the setup, and we would just need to talk because there's a lot of other stuff involved in that. And I'm not just going to throw, hey, do you need this and this, and your Bob's your uncle, because that's not accurate. I need to know a lot more about what's going on, and we'll have to sit and focus on that and figure it out. Um, but yeah, that's just a lot to think about. Um, I just got a B2 610, called it 16. You must be using voice to chat on the way. Would you do the RTA deal? I didn't research it enough. How would you do the RTA deal? I use a tablet, and I use a tablet and a microphone. You can use a tablet with the microphone that comes on the tablet. And now, a lot of the purists out there are going to tell you, oh, no, you can't use that because it's not calibrated. Well, I'm going to tell you something, sir. Um, so, the microphone on personal devices, like, for example, this, the microphone that's down in there is actually extremely high quality. Those mics are really good, and they are very much calibrated for that phone. However, they're calibrated to a curve. This is the important thing. This is the part where your ears need to turn on. Okay. So they're calibrated to work best in the vocal range. So they're going to give more of a peak to anything between like 300 hertz and like 1200 hertz, that general range. Okay. They're going to amplify that. So whenever you're reading an RTA that's running off that mic, it's going to be hotter. It's going to show. Wait a minute. How's it going to show? It's going to show a hotter signal in that area than there really is. So in other words, if you use that mic, you're going to say you've got a flat signal, right? It looks like it's flat across the RTA. You're actually running a smiley face EQ because it's reading it higher. It's more sensitive to that vocal range. The mic is brilliant and the software is brilliant. So all you have to do is just EQ it to be mostly flattish, and you're going to wind up EQing in a slight smiley, which is what we generally like to hear anyway. So once you understand what the mic is doing to the signal that it's showing you on the screen, you can build a workaround to get around that. And I'll assure you that the microphone in that phone or in that tablet is a better quality than 90% of the RTA mics that you're going to find anywhere, or the same quality. It's the same quality or better. They put a very, very good mic in. Why? Because this thing has one job. Primary job is to turn your voice into something else. And if it ain't getting a good voice, it's not going to work right. They want that thing to be on point, and that's why it's a very good quality piece of equipment in there. RTA, real-time analyzer, yes. How long does that track go? When I played, it's like 4 minutes and 39 seconds. It's a long track. DPS. Okay, DPS and the head unit or DPS separately? DSP, you mean? And I would use a separate one because the head unit typically has a very limited DSP. But if you want to do that, go with like a Kenwood. A Kenwood usually has a fairly reasonably decent DSP, but you're going to be limited. There's going to be limitations on a head unit based DSP. So one like this or any real good DSP is going to be an improvement over the one in the head unit. Cool, man. DSP Bluetooth. Yeah, that's what I do. It sounds great. You guys get my shit? I ever get a chance to listen to it? I mean, it just does the thing. I don't know what to tell you. It does the thing. It does it, and it does it all the time, and it does it over and over again, and it does it under extreme circumstances. I can't make it fail. So there's that. Crescendo actually back. Their new subs look great. Don't know. And I mean, this is purely guesswork on my part. I'm not following that, but there's always a good possibility that the company could have been bought by somebody else, and they could be using a Crescendo name. I have no idea. whether the case is. And like I said, that's pure hyperbole. I have no idea if that's correct. That's just me taking a wild guess, but it's a possibility. But I don't know. Frank Souza on a Pioneer DEX P99Rs, one of the most capable single DIN head units ever. Nice sound. There was a time in the early '80s where I loved my Pioneer Super Tuners. But then whenever the '90s come around, and the late '80s and '90s come around, I got hooked on Sony. I always liked the cleanness of the Sony head units. It was just better designed for your fingers and your eyeballs. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot more simple. The layout was better. It wasn't with Pioneer. There was 1,000 little teeny buttons that you could barely put your thumb on, and the writing was tiny, and all this. With the Sony, it was like, hey, there's this and this and this, and that's all you need. And the thing sounded great, and it was simple, and it was clean looking. And I always liked that about Sony head units. And then I got into, you get up into the late '90s, up into the current time frame, and I started doing Kenwood and JVC, but Kenwood was always, it's like a Chevy and GMC. Kenwood was the Chevy, and JVC was their GMC product. They were still working with the same stuff, but Kenwood has always been my favorite. The Exelons, up until recently, about 5 years ago or so, I stopped using the head unit entirely, and now I just use a tablet, and I don't even study on head units anymore. There's that long story. Let's see here. I agree about the larger Pro drivers having the same speed capacity as smaller drivers. Yeah, exactly, man. Thank you. I do my best. Oh yeah, JBL, because those curves on some steroids. The JBL house curve on some steroids. Yeah. Yes, I am that old car audio obsessed. Got my notepad. Frank said, if you have an email address, I can send you some links to home and car audio builds that I've done. Sure, my email address is in like literally every video on my YouTube channel, caraudioenthusiast@gmail.com. Car audio enthusiast, all one word with an S at the end, @gmail.com. And I do keep a check on my emails. If you guys try to look me up on Facebook, I do have a Facebook page, Car Audio Enthusiast Facebook page, and you are willing to read through that. It's got a lot of stuff on it. You can post there if my bot approves you. So if you've got a fairly new account or whatever, it may not. Anyway, I can manually, if you let me know, I can manually approve you, but don't try to message me there because I probably won't get your message there. If you, I'm most likely to see your message the quickest only as a comment on a YouTube video, and only if it's a new comment. If it's a comment responding to an old comment, I may not ever see that. So if you want to make sure that I see something, put the comment on as a new comment on any video on my channel, and it will pop up, and I will see that the same day, guaranteed. Because I have a filter set up that filters out old comments but keeps the new ones to where it shows me any new comments. So start a new comment thread and leave a comment there, or send me an email to caraudioenthusiast@gmail.com. Then we can work on any other solutions for communication. I'm working on a 2010 Ford Edge. How do you run our aftermarket speaker wire through the doors? Ha! I got a video of a 2010 Ford Edge. Yeah. Yeah, baby. That's fun shit right there. I did it. I literally the same exact car. I have a video on that Edge up on YouTube. I have several videos. I don't have as many as I used to have because that was on my old channel, but I have several. You're going to have to, this is nasty. You ain't going to like the sound of this shit. You're not going to like it at all. But if you want to replace your factory speaker wires, yeah, that's what he's wanting. I'm pretty sure the Edge, I know my Ford pickup had it. I'm pretty sure the Edge has the little plug. So the door basically has a wire coming out of it that goes through the boot and plugs into the other side. So you have to go in there and take a drill and find a spot that doesn't have a wire that's connecting from point A to point B. Find a blank area and drill a hole through the whole plug and an assembly and everything. And then you run your wire through that hole. Or you can take that plug out and pin in a wire behind it and pin in a wire on this end. That's the right way to do it. It's a real pain in the ass. But you can pin in a female. You create a female pin for the plug or the receiver, and then a male pin for the plug, and then pin it in from the back and all that shit. You can make it look 100% legit, and then it will literally connect through the plug when you plug it in. That's the right way. The other way is to drill a hole through the damn thing and run the wire straight through. Another way is to go around the plug, drill a hole through the place around that boot and then run through there and then turn the wire and go into the boot that way. It's going to suck no matter what you do. That's the unfortunate truth to that. So I'm sure your brain had already processed pretty much that result. You were just hoping that you were wrong. Frank said, Frank's talking to James. Yeah. Yep. Sometimes you can, if it's the boot, you can just run straight through it. You got to fish it through. I can't remember if it has the plug or not. Because I had the Edge and then I had the Ford F-150 back to back. And one of them, I know the F-150 had the plug. I don't remember for sure about the Edge. But yeah, you got to run wire through that boot regardless. It's a pain in the ass. It's going to suck. Get yourself one of those, go to the big box store next time you go up there for whatever, and go back to the air conditioning section and get one of those big long zip ties, a couple of them or whatever that are like 2 or 3 feet long, 4 feet long, and big huge zip ties they use to do the ducting work and shit. Get a couple of those and put them in your shop. They're really good for feeding wire. You can actually stick the wire in the end where the zip tie thing goes. You can poke them in there and they'll stay. And then you can just shove that thing through and pull your wires right on through. Yeah, you'll find tons of uses for that. That's for pulling wires. Let's see here. All right. I think we have caught up with the comments. Holy mackerel. You guys are busy tonight. And y'all had tons of things to talk about. Middle ground is really the best, but it takes some time and experience. So yeah, there's multiple ways you can accomplish that. It's not just one way. But yeah, you may end up having to drill through a plug, and that's fun. The rightest way to do that when you have the plug, like I said, is to pin your wires into some of the blanks. There's going to be some blanks on that plug. So you just order the pin out kit. You get the one part that goes in one side, one part, and you got to solder the damn things to the wire. And you just create an extra set of wires running through there. That's the right way. I have never done it that way. I've seen it done that way one time. But yeah, it is what it is. Oh, yeah. I'm starting to remember now. The door jambs have plastic block that has a locking lever. Yeah, you just got to drill shit, man. That's what we wound up doing, was drilling. Um, it's a destructive process. The only other thing you can do is just use the factory wires. And if you're trying to run multiple channels, then you're just going to have to add some more. I mean, yeah, that's the only other safe way of doing it. Molex underneath that little flip lock thing. Can't remember. Yeah, it's not impossible. It's just a pain in the butt for real, man. I used to have, hang on a second. Let me see what I can find over here that you guys talk amongst yourself for a second. I'm going to look and see on my channel. Content. I don't remember what it's under. There you go. I'll show you guys. This isn't going to be an all-inclusive thing. I mean, it's just a short clip, but I'll show you my edge here. This is. I'm going to have to turn the sound down so I don't get stupid violations here. So y'all have to listen to it silent. That's a DS18 Hooligan 15. And I can't remember what amp I had on it. Yeah, I had that weird one on there. Then I ended up with a Hooligan 5K on that at one point. That's a lot of movement out of that sub, man. That was my little edge. One of my first and this post 2000 car audio builds was this guy. I did the headlights, the grill. It's all aftermarket. The Dragon on the hood. The whole hood is actually vinyl. It's a matte vinyl. And that looks way better than I thought it was going to. I had that. I bordered that with aluminum and I had it powder coated. Looks clean as shit, don't it? Now you want one. You're saying, oh man, I got to have that. I need that in my life. Don't remember where I got those wheels at, but then we did the caliper paint job on the calipers. The headlights are straight up Amazon order stuff. Yeah, it turned out pretty good though. That's an old build. That's some of Carmel's work back in the day. When he put the amp in for me, I was still driving the truck at this time. Let's see here. I'll skip over here. That was Randy's tent work on the back, man. Thing looked good, didn't it? Down for sound Bach crescendo. That makes total sense. Complete sense. Pain in the butt. Frank says, I've cursed to high hell and wedged my fingers into crazy tight spaces. Brutal summer. Here fishing speaker wires into those same doors. Or into some doors. Yeah, no shit. Me too. Look at the launch on that sub. That right there is a good example. I built that. I'm going to go back a little bit, show you guys, talk about this. So this was just, if you watched my video where I talked about finding those two bars, those bars that had the fiber impregnated plastic. These are black. They're both ground bars. And I just put DS18 labels on them. Stickers, basically. Cut them down and made them fit into there. And it looks absolutely freaking pro, in my opinion, even though it's cut off. It still looks really good. And these things are that fiber impregnated plastic, which is like indestructible shit. So then I created my own wire loom up here using zip ties. You can see exactly how that was done. I did all this work myself. So I had to cross the wires. I had to make them look right crossing them because they came in the wrong way. So I had to make a little cross pattern in them. And notice the knuckles. Well, okay, that's the Hooligan. This is after I got the Hooligan put in there. That was the 3.5K. I'll show you right. You can barely see it, but right over here, there's a brass knuckles imprint. It kind of shows up every once in a while if you get just the right angle. And that was the DS18 logo. We wrapped all this with vinyl. The whole center console was wrapped in red vinyl. So there's two different little video clips here together. This one is the one when I finally got that DS18. I had the 3.5K, then I went to the 5K after that. That's a nice little amp, but they're pricey as hell. And that sucker got down too. It was pretty loud. For a single 15, it was impressive. There you go. Some glass shaking. Kind of give you an idea just what was going on in there. It was pretty busy. It's a pretty cool ride. Oh yeah, you notice the headlights are tinted now? So I got different ones. So they're smoked. Now, I don't remember who it was that has the Ford Edge, but tell me, does your Ford Edge look that cool? Told you I nailed that Ford Edge. Look, man, we worked it out. But all of these videos are available on YouTube. Of course, you can go over there and watch. You can hear the sound. And I did get copyright struck, but I kept it up anyway. I just don't want to spin it into my live stream as well. So you can hear exactly what everything was playing. All the music is there, I think. Anyway, anybody got any more questions you want to hit me with? We are coming up on 3 hours, and we're just about to send it on the way. Because I need to go eat me some supper. I ain't ate nothing today, I don't think. All right, guys. It's been real, and be sure to show love to your neighbors. Treat all the people that you meet like you've known them your whole life. Be respectful to everybody because it starts with you. If you want people to be nice to people to be nice to you, it starts with you. Be nice to other people. That's how this works. You have to be the one that's in control. You're not in control of what I do. You're in control of what you do. So you take care of you, and then I'll take care of me, and everybody will be polite and sweet and nice to each other. And that's how we roll. Let's get the duck out of here, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Out here banging up and down the street, slamming it to the ground. Big subwoofers are getting loud. You can feel the booming sound. Getting ready to go. Got it shined up for the show. Hours charging, amps are amping, gonna let the woofers blow. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one goes, and another one goes, and another one bites the dust. We got more at home. Another one bites the dust. Fires are glowing and the amps smoking. Subs are cherry red. Let me keep jamming, gotta keep the bass slamming. Gonna go hard till they're dead. Full power, gotta let it go. 20 hertz in the floating air. Sparks are flying, voice cords are frying, and the smoke is in the air. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one goes, and another one goes, and another one bites the dust. Hey, we got more at home. Another one bites the dust.